welcome to SEC Network College Football as the Tennessee Volunteers take the field looking to knock off their rivals from Lexington. Two teams first met in 1893, and they get together on this crisp, clear fall afternoon, aiming for bowls. Smokey leads the way. Two of the longest bowl droughts among Power 5 teams, putting even more pressure on the squads for a victory today. Welcome, everybody. Tom Hart alongside Matt Stinchcomb. And if you consider where these teams have been this season, really this game puts them in position to either play in the postseason or not.
Yeah, they've been on the cusp of bowl eligibility now, especially Kentucky. They sprint out to a 5-1 start, but then 4 losses in a row. And you question the trajectory of that football team versus a Tennessee squad that's riding high off of their overtime victory over South Carolina.
It was a fantastic start to the season for Kentucky. At 5-1, they had more wins over the first 6 games than they had in the last 2 seasons combined. The Wildcats, however, after that Saturday night win against South Carolina, lost some momentum. And they come in on a 4-game losing streak, 3 of those in the meat grinder that is the SEC West.
It was one of the more arduous stretches of any team faced this year in the SEC. And you look at his football team, Mark Stoops just trying to keep them together so that they can survive these final 2 matchups to finally make it to the postseason.
And then there's the Tennessee story, and I'm not sure which is more improbable. That Josh Dobbs led Tennessee from not 1 but 2 touchdown deficits at South Carolina, or that he was redshirted up until just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the remarkable story. Was Joshua Dobbs wasn't even intended to play this year, much less play the role that he's had in Tennessee's emergence, especially offensively, when they were able to finally secure what would be a signature and perhaps turning point victory versus South Carolina 2 weeks ago. Butch Jones, for the first time in his tenure here at Tennessee, able to bask in the glory of a victory going into a bye week.
For more on Joshua Dobbs and this Tennessee squad, let's take you down to the sidelines where Heather Mitts is standing by with Butch Jones.
Thanks, Tom. Coach, Vols fans looking to ride this wave of momentum that you and your team have created. Now, you told us you were the most concerned that you have been leading up to this game. How come?
Well, just Kentucky's a very good football team, and we have to come out a week off. Now we have to come and play Tennessee football, take care of the football, and the first quarter is going to be a big quarter for us.
Joshua Dobbs had 467 yards of total offense last game. What has been the biggest difference for him this season?
Well, we're going to have to throw the football tonight. So, again, we have to execute our throw game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Heather, thank you. I'm not sure what defines a rivalry, but Tennessee has owned this one. The Volunteers have won 28 of their last 29 head-to-head appearances with Kentucky in a series that dates to 1893. At first meeting, Kentucky had the advantage, won 56-0. Not sure anyone was dressed as a pig in that Saturday afternoon.
Helps to have that layer of fat in this weather out here. It's kind of chilly today.
Kentucky won the toss. The Wildcats have elected to receive. Those do look like warm outfits. Aaron Medley will put it in the air. Boom Williams and Braylon Hurd set to return. Here we go from Nealon. Boom Williams can't handle the kickoff. Brings it out after taking it in a yard. And he is tripped up near the 7-yard line. Just the start Tennessee was looking for from their special teams.
Boom Williams is an explosive player for Kentucky, and they're looking to get him touches, but what they don't want is to start off on the wrong foot. And of course now, very poor starting field position for a Kentucky offense that in its losing streak has not had many short fields.
This is Patrick Towles in his first year as a starter after redshirting last year. He's a quarterback the Tennessee staff knows well. They recruited him while they were coaching at Cincinnati. Little flip to Ryan Timmons. Not much.
Ryan Timmons, one of the blue chip recruits that Mark Stoops was able to bring in. The question was whether or not he would even be a starter this week. He, along with Boom Williams, give Kentucky that explosive playmaking ability. You can see them not only giving him the start, but giving him a touch to open the game.
Brian Randolph on the stop, one of 3 Volunteers in the top 10 in the SEC in tackles. The defense has been sensational for the Vols this year. On second down, Tolles wants it himself, and a quarterback run. He powers through that line, and it's enough for a first down. Randolph's second tackle as we meet Stinch's Stars.
You know, heading into this game, not knowing the status of Ryan Timmons, it was going to be DeMarco Robinson needing to step up in his big playmaking ability. We mentioned Boom Williams and the role that he can play in the rushing attack. It's the 2 defensive ends, outside linebacker Kurt Maggitt, defensive end Derek Barnett coming off the edge today for Tennessee.
Tolles stops, drops this one deep over the shoulder by Javis Blue. That's a catch and another Kentucky first down.
Now you can see the role that Patrick Tolles plays in this Kentucky offense. He's able to convert on a power run at the quarterback spot and then drop a perfect pass into Blue downfield.
Kentucky going up tempo. On the ground, sliced down from behind the line is Braylon Hurd. Derek Barnett, the talented freshman from Nashville, in on the stop. One of the tops in the SEC in tackles for loss. That's his 15th.
They're thrilled with what they've gotten out of Derek Barnett as a true freshman this year. 14 tackles for loss. Heading into this game, make that 15 to put the Wildcats behind the down and distance early on in this series of downs.
Play action, rush coming. Tolles hitting the face and a flag coming down. A.J. Johnson was in the backfield. He wasn't the only one there, but the SEC's top tackler got a hold of the gear.
Personal foul, face mask, 45 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Tom Ritter, our official today. Another look.
And A.J. Johnson was able to beat the block of Braylon Hurd, at least the attempted one. You see there, the ball's already out. Talk about an unnecessary penalty by one of the surest players of the Tennessee defense. Confident he'll have every opportunity to make amends for that one, but extending the drive and getting Kentucky out of a hole.
So a quarterback run, perfectly placed pass, and then a face mask, and Kentucky on those 3 big plays is past midfield. Tolles again on the quarterback run, spinning his way down to the 32-yard line. Ladero McNeil with the stop.
That time, A.J. Johnson was in the middle of the defense. He ends up sprinting over to the edge. You see Patrick Tolles making the quick pass outside to set up the quarterback draw.
They stick with the up-tempo. Tennessee rushes 3. Good coverage. And a catch made across the sideline and out of bounds by DeMarco Robinson, blanketed by Cameron Sutton.
That's a matchup to watch in this game. Cameron Sutton, Tennessee's best cover man. They've been moving some guys around, and certainly Kentucky will challenge them because of the run ability at the quarterback position. Tennessee will play more man coverage than they're typically used to. They'll still mix it up quite a bit, but that run element at the quarterback position stresses this Volunteer defense.
Tolles carried it for 60 yards last week against Georgia. 17 times he took off. Tennessee had 7 on the line of scrimmage. Tolles can't get past him. Gain of 1. Another stop for Randolph, his 3rd already.
At that time, A.J. Johnson was committed to the line of scrimmage. They ran a stunt on the inside of the defensive line, something that Tennessee will do quite a bit in this game. Part of that purpose is to negate the quarterback running game, and specifically the draws. It kind of muddies where that rush lane is going to be when Patrick Tolles decides to get upfield.
First time to hear Lil Jon in game. First 3rd down for Kentucky on this opening drive. Tolles wobbles one complete to the perimeter, and Javis Blue has another first down. Randolph's racking up tackles, but that one came after 15 yards.
Javis Blue able to work inside. At that time, looked like he was working on Ladero McNeil initially.
Now DeMarco Robinson up the sideline. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, the 3rd Volunteer among their top tacklers. It's in the SEC's top 10, along with A.J. Johnson, the leader, and Brian Randolph.
Look at Kentucky into the red zone now, able to move this first opening possession into scoring position.
This is Hurd. 2 yards, perhaps.
This is where the challenges come all season. You see Tennessee player down on the field. Lots of tempo from Kentucky early in this game. This big Danny O'Brien, it looks like he's played a ton of snaps for Tennessee on that defensive front.
Sophomore from Flint, Michigan. This has been an extended drive for Kentucky. 10 plays for 83 yards on this opening drive. I haven't seen Tennessee even have an opportunity to sub guys out. And it's been a well-balanced drive. 5 runs, 5 passes.
And depending on the outcome here, obviously a third down and an opportunity to convert a first. As you see, O'Brien helped off the field. He's got that elbow injury and braced up pretty heavily. They're going to need him to be healthy. They're thin on the inside, already undersized. And Kentucky has enjoyed some success running the football between the tackles and specifically in the red zone.
Owen Williams replaces O'Brien on the line. Poles pressured, taken down in the backfield. A.J. Johnson cleaned it up, but it was Owen Williams fresh into the game with his 3rd sack of the season.
You mentioned that Owen Williams was able to get upfield, but A.J. Johnson able to clean it up. Talk about a fresh legs coming in there. Danny O'Brien comes off, and the fans are fired up here at Neyland Stadium.
Big 3rd down stop, and Austin McGinnis, freshman place kicker on. He's hit 14 of 20 this season. This would be from 32. Kentucky able to put points on the board on its opening drive. It lasted 11 plays and 77 yards, nearly 4 minutes, but Kentucky stalled on that 3rd down play. All right, thanks. Somebody's going to have to go to the bullpen soon at 5-zip.
That's right. I'll tell you what, that's a tone-setting type of a play when a defense is able to get that accomplished. Mississippi State, the most dangerous run offense in the country, running between the tackles. That time, Alabama showing why it's the stoutest run defense that you'll go against at the collegiate level.
Austin McGinnis got Kentucky on the scoreboard with the field goal on the opening drive. He will kick it off. Evan Berry stands in the checkerboard for Tennessee. Berry from the 2. Good return out past the 25. Brought down right at the Kentucky bench. And that's where Joshua Dobbs will lead this offense. Space Dobbs coming off of a Tennessee quarterback rushing record against South Carolina. He's completed 54% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, but the real story is what he can do with his legs.
Yeah, it changed everything for this Tennessee offense all season long, struggling to keep quarterbacks upright and a clean pocket to operate in. The best way to solve that is to introduce mobility at the quarterback position. Joshua Dobbs not only able to keep plays alive, but make teams pay with his legs.
And on play action, Dobbs loses the first man, throws on the run, complete, right at the marker to Daniel Helm.
Already you can see what Joshua Dobbs brings to that quarterback position. And he's been very poised since being forced into service, so to speak, versus Alabama 2 games ago. And they've loved the way he has kept his head about him with the amount of success he enjoyed versus South Carolina 2 weeks ago in their overtime win.
He accounted for 5 touchdowns against the Gamecocks. Jalen Hurd, the freshman, runs into a wall of Kentucky defenders and gets thrown first by Fred Tiller.
That's going to be one of the challenges for Tennessee in this game. Still, this offensive front, you can negate some of the protection issues with a mobile quarterback. It'll be hard to get running room inside.
Hurd again, bounces it to the outside. First down for Tennessee. And he's to midfield where Ashley Lowry shoves him out of bounds. We say hello to Stitch's Stars.
Excellent. Well, right on cue. You see it there. Bud Dupree from the defensive end position, an outside linebacker spot for Kentucky. One of the best Coach Stoops has ever been around, he said. He's been around some great ones. Josh Forrest, a big playmaker for Kentucky in the middle. And Jalen Hurd and Pig Howard are guys that can really gain yards in chunks for Tennessee.
Play action again. Dobbs again over the middle. Complete for Tennessee. First down and a big gain for the Volunteers.
As Marlon Lane, and they're able to sneak him out of the offensive backfield. Josh Forrest, he just blows right past him. Just got done talking about assignment. Linebacker play has been an issue for Kentucky the past couple of games. Defensive coordinator DJ Elliott singling out that position, needing to play better.
Von Pearson in motion. He takes a little pitch for a pass. Gets by the first man. Pearson with the cutback. Touchdown, Volunteers. That's a touchdown pass for Joshua Dobbs, his 5th of the year.
This is just a missed tackle and an opportunity. Ashley Lowry in position to make this tackle for almost no gain. And Von Pearson showing that not only is he a threat to get behind secondaries, but at 6'3", 185 pounds, is physical enough to run through a would-be tackle and get in the end zone.
Well, that didn't take long. Aaron Medley adds the extra point. Tennessee with a 5-play, 73-yard drive. We haven't seen Dobbs run it yet, but that little pitch will be a pass as Pearson does the rest of the work on his own.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by Shelter Insurance. For your auto, home, and life, we're your shield. We're your shelter.
Hey, Lil Jon had a show here in Knoxville recently. Decided to drop by the football complex. Meet Coach Butch Jones come out to practice, and he spoke to the team before practice. What's a better pick than that? Posing with the 3rd down marker. 3rd down for what has been a new hit, a new Tennessee tradition here at Neyland Stadium. And the guys were fired up when when Lil Jon walked into their meeting room and a surprise visit before that practice.
Hey, well, the offense gets Peyton Manning as their benefactor. The defense obviously needs one, and who better than Lil Jon to fire them up in game day, right?
It's worked.
Future Hall of Famer, and who knows, maybe he goes into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame or something on the other side.
They're going to have a Lil Jon room built into the complex like the Peyton Manning room.
I don't know if there's any room.
Tennessee able to jump in front on that opening drive for the Volunteers. Boom Williams won't have a chance for the return. Take a look at Tennessee's touchdown and the pass to Von Pearson.
You know, we were talking about big plays and what it takes to get in the end zone, and just freeze it right there. You see, sometimes you can't block everybody. And Von Pearson's going to have to make a guy miss. And in this instance, he's able to make Ashley Lowry miss enough. Still able to make contact with the ball carrier, but Von Pearson able to run out of that tackle. That's what it takes. You know, you look at these offenses to move the football, to get into the end zone. You can't block all of the defenders. Even with a mobile quarterback, you could see in that play, Kentucky, everyone's assigned and or blocked except for the safety coming down in run support. And Von Pearson was able to make the play he needed to.
So Patrick Towles back on the field. The play clock is winding down. It's at 0. Kentucky took its time huddling on the sideline. And they come out and get a delay of game penalty after the kick. That should not happen.
No, and you'll see Mark Stoops, who's been frustrated with his team's execution and on-the-field effort, not from a hustle standpoint, can't be pleased with that getting behind 5 yards unnecessarily.
This is Braylon Hurd, the Nebraska transfer, brought down by Derek Barnett. Gain of 3 on first down, and that penalty leaves them with 2nd and 12.
Barnett yet again on the defensive front for Tennessee, sliding down the field, making a tackle from behind. Danny O'Brien back in the lineup for Tennessee as well on the defensive front.
Reese Phillips, the backup quarterback, takes the pitch, dials downfield, incomplete, broken up by Emmanuel Mosley. Phillips was lined up wide, and he came back to run the flea flicker.
We've seen this play work before. They ran it out of the Wildcat versus South Carolina, hit Ryan Timmons for a touchdown. But Emmanuel Mosley, who's been getting more and more reps as a true freshman, he's really come on, and you can see that time maintained his discipline, stayed with his man, was able to break up the pass intended for Baker.
Phillips stays in at quarterback. And movement on the left side. Darian Miller, the left tackle, jump. On 3rd and 12, they kept Phillips in to receive the snap.
77 offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Once again, this is a dangerous place to play on the road, especially on an obvious 3rd down. Little John or no, this place gets loud. And it's very difficult to stay in there at the left tackle spot. And you know you're a little bit jumpy. You're protecting a backup quarterback now in the lineup for Kentucky.
Patrick Tolles is on the sideline. He's sitting on the bench right now for Kentucky. 3rd and 17. They'll let Phillips take over the Tolles playbook. And he gets popped out of bounds at the 30. Brian Randolph with another stop.
It's twice now we've seen Brian Randolph come up and make hits in run support. Had 14 tackles versus South Carolina. Much is made of A.J. Johnson in the middle of the Tennessee defense. Brian Randolph making plays early. As you see Patrick Tolles, his cleats are off. Looks like they're evaluating something in his lower leg.
At least retaping the left ankle at the very least. Landon Foster grew up a Tennessee fan. He's a great story for this rivalry. Now he's got to punt it away for Kentucky. He was once a Tennessee commitment. Not a good punt in the return for Foster. And Tennessee will have great field position after a 33-yard kick. Kentucky looking wobbly here early on. Patrick Tolles is walking off the field for Kentucky. They had his cleats off, looking at his left ankle. Before that timeout, he's 4 for 5 today for 43 yards. He's been a threat running the football for Kentucky thus far today. And picked up a first down with his legs. And the first-year starter is headed into the Kentucky locker room.
Well, that's a big blow for Kentucky, obviously, if he's unable to return. Looks like he walked off the field pretty steadily there.
This is Jalen Hurd. And Hurd with a 9-yard gain. Josh Forrest and Ryan Flanagan take him down.
Jalen Hurd able to get to the edge. That time, we mentioned Von Pearson and his running ability. Pearson on a key block on the edge, able to spring Jalen Hurd to get outside.
Tolles will have company in the Kentucky locker room. Fullback DJ Warren is following him in there with another athletic trainer. Dobbs, first down, Moore, nice cutback. And that's a first run of the game for Astro Dobbs, the sophomore from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Well, now we've seen 3 different opportunities for Tennessee to move the football on the ground out of basically the same look. They blew Von Pearson through the backfield. They can either tap it to him, he can hand the football off to Jalen Hurd, or pull it and run straight downhill in the quarterback power game.
Dobbs goes deep. Incomplete. Josh Malone had it go off of his hands. Fred Tiller was all over him.
Looked a little bit like some gamesmanship there by Tennessee. You could see their offensive players kind of pause and look over to the sideline and then quickly come back to the field of play to snap the ball. A lot of times offenses, when they get the signals from the sideline, defenses will check their sideline as well. That time Kentucky able to get back focused and cover downfield.
This is Pig Howard. Picks up a couple. Josh Forrest Had 9 tackles and a pick against Mississippi State in what was a near win for Kentucky at home. They had a great home season. They've wrapped it up at the Commonwealth Stadium. They'll spend $125 million renovating Commonwealth and have it ready to go opening next year. 3rd and 8 now. 3rd safety onto the field for Kentucky. Dobbs. Incomplete. A.J. Stamps had the coverage that time on Marquez North, who's back playing again after an injury against South Carolina.
At that time, great job by A.J. Stamps. Coverage was very, very tight. Dobbs trying to put the football downfield into a tighter window. Maybe a little bit late with that football, but you can see Kentucky defense able to come up with a big stop after their offense floundered on the previous possession.
First punt attempt for Matt Darr. DeMarco Robinson asked for a fair catch, and he got turned all the way around to take it. But this Kentucky offense now in a bit of a bind. For more on the quarterback situation, let's check in with Heather.
Just a little bit more information for you. It's actually his left ankle. They tried to tape it up and see how it felt. He still was having issues, so they took it off. They went to the locker room right now just to get a better look at it. But hopefully we'll see him back out here in the field shortly.
All right, Heather, thanks. This is where we think he got injured, and as it got folded underneath on the sack by Owen Williams on the first possession.
Yeah, this one immediately preceded that field goal attempt. And Towles was able to take the field on the very next possession, but was unable to finish the series.
Maybe that's why they had delay of game coming out. Reese Phillips on for his first full series, and he wants to throw. Incomplete. Diving attempt by Blake Bone. Phillips pressed into action here quickly.
And Phillips was one of the quarterbacks that was contending for the starting job coming into the year. Patrick Towles was somewhat of a surprise first-day starter for Kentucky and had played plenty well enough to have secured that position. Certainly, we saw in that first opening drive by Kentucky what Towles brings to the position. But already we've seen Phillips with a scramble of his own. Wasn't able to convert the previous 3rd down, but hasn't gotten a lot of snaps this season.
On 2nd down, he gives it up to Hurd. Hurd with a nice burst will pick up first down for Kentucky. Reese Phillips is a Tennessee native. He's from Signal Mountain, Tennessee, down around Chattanooga. Phillips was a 2-year All-State performer at quarterback. Threw for better than 2,200 yards and 15 touchdowns as a senior. Quarterback run game again. Phillips stands 6'2", 218. Towles is 6'5", 238. And so at first blush, you have to wonder how effective the quarterback run game will be with Phillips versus Towles.
Yeah, you know, Towles is deceptively fast, but he also has that size. It's a good point. If you're going to run between the tackles, that extra 20 pounds means something, especially when you're going up against a very active linebacking core and will often be met by one of the best tacklers in the SEC in A.J. Johnson.
Johnson right over the center, 3 yards off the ball. Phillips a throw, hit, popped it up. It is picked off by Tennessee. Brian Randolph will take it in. Cameron Sutton tipped it.
Here he comes. Right off the slot, it's Justin Coleman, and he's able to hit Reese Phillips, who never felt that pressure. We talk about not getting a lot of reps. That's something that you have to see. He's a right-handed quarterback. You're bringing pressure right in his face. That time Coleman coming from the slot defender spot, and it was obvious that he was coming all the way. And a huge turn of events for Tennessee, converting that turnover. The injuries at Kentucky factoring majorly in this game already.
Phillips, limited time. It's showing now. Vols with the pick 6, 14-3. To our afternoon, SEC Network brings you a full slate of volleyball action. First at noon, Florida takes on Kentucky in a matchup of 2 ranked teams. Then at 2, Georgia versus Alabama. Finally at 4, Missouri battles Ole Miss. All games also live on Watch ESPN. Kentucky down to its backup quarterback, Brian Randolph, with his first interception of the season. He takes it back for a touchdown. He's coming off of a career-high 14 tackles against South Carolina. As up and down as Tennessee's season has been, the defense has been stout all year.
Yeah, they've started to fade here the past couple of weeks just a little bit because they've had to carry an offense that is now plenty strong enough to augment their performance. And already outside of an opening drive by Kentucky, the defense coming up pretty big right now for the Volunteers.
From the goal line, Boom Williams takes it out to nearly the 30. Let's go back to that Tennessee touchdown, as it's called by Bob Kessling of the Vol Network.
Phillips out of the shotgun, back to throw. He's blitzing, and they hit him as he throws it. The ball pops in the air. It's intercepted at the 15-yard line, down to the 10, to the end zone. Brian Randolph, touchdown, Tennessee. Phillips went back to throw.
The 11th pick of the season for Tennessee's defense. Last year, they are 11th in the SEC in total D. They have certainly stepped it up. Reese Phillips has attempted only 3 passes in SEC play, all 3 of them today. And he hands off to Boom Williams. And Williams taken down by Ladero McNeil.
That's a nice open field tackle by Ladero McNeil, knowing what Boom Williams can do when he can get out in space. And now the question will be for Kentucky, what does this offense morph into? We've seen a number of different versions. Gone heavy wildcat to win games, and they've also utilized this formation, the triangle, and they get a couple of fullbacks, this time a tight end in there, and run the inside power game.
Boom Williams again. And that'll be a loss of yardage. It's been an unfortunate start to this game for Kentucky. In fact, the opening kick was bobbled. They've picked up a delay of game and a false start on their second drive after Tolles was injured but still playing. Shortly thereafter, he'd been taken to the locker room, and then the pick 6 on the 3rd drive.
And this is after taking the opening series and going right down the football field and getting their own fortunate turn of events, a face mask to extend a drive, and then end up stalling out in the red zone. As you see Patrick Tolles, he's got his helmet back on. It seems as if he's ready to re-enter the football game.
3 rushers on 3rd and 9. Nobody there.
Kurt Magid, Derek Barnett, a couple of guys that we mentioned coming into this game, and of course at the end of the South Carolina game, it was their ability to collapse the pocket and get the passer on the ground. Dylan Thompson that time taken out of field goal range, and now here today, able to get right on the doorstep and pressure Reese Phillips into a throwaway.
Tennessee has 10 men on the line. Cameron Sutton, the return man, standing at the 31 and creeping closer. Again, a poor kick from Landon Foster. It'll be down at the 34-yard line.
Well, special teams for Kentucky has certainly been an adventure. 2 returns for touchdowns last week, and now a couple of poor punts to give Tennessee great field position on this offensive possession.
JoJo Kemp still going. So much for being tired.
And it's the JoJo Kemp show.
Tipped and picked, and this place is nuts. Dobbs into touchdown, Tennessee.
He is growing up before our very eyes.
32-yard attempt for Aaron Medley. Got it. Back-to-back sacks. Not even close. Butch Jones has his first SEC win of the season.
You can't say enough about the fight in this Tennessee Volunteer football team.
To date, the South Carolina game has been the high water mark for both of these programs. The big difference is that since that South Carolina win for Kentucky, they beat Louisiana Monroe and then lost 4 straight in conference. For Tennessee, that momentum continues after a bye week today. Dobbs gets nailed in the backfield. No gain. Mike Douglas is there. And the reason, perhaps, is simply because of schedule. I mean, South Carolina is South Carolina this year. They escaped Florida in overtime thanks to a block punt today.
Yeah, it's the timing of when that win came. And right now, really the insertion of Josh Dobbs in the back end of the season. Tennessee's got 2 more SEC games to play after this one.
Jalen Hurd takes a direct snap. He's powering over guys. That'll set up a 3rd and 5, it looks like, for Tennessee. Both programs had very good reason to feel good after the South Carolina wins. Tennessee had one of the biggest comebacks in school history. ESPN Stats and Info gave them just a 0.9% chance to win that game late in the 4th quarter. The biggest comeback, the lowest percentages, we should say, in college football all year. And Kentucky was able to do it at home in what was one of the biggest home wins in terms of the energy and excitement around this program. Dobbs to the air. Pig Howard with the grab. Great hands and a 1st down for Tennessee down to the 40.
Great ball placement that time from Joshua Dobbs. Hits Pig Howard right in stride, right beneath his chin strap. And Pig Howard able to continue on his route. You know, if that ball's just a little bit behind him, you lose all of that momentum. Those are the types of throws, not necessarily the big ones downfield, that the coaching staff from Tennessee wants Joshua Dobbs to make routine.
30th straight game with a reception for Howard. Hurd, the freshman. 3rd leading freshman rusher in the SEC. This is really a tough drive for Kentucky. They can't allow points here because they're already limited offensively. And if there was any thought that they could go to JoJo Kemp and the Wildcat if Tolles can't return, I don't know if you can do that if you're down 21-3.
And haven't seen a lot of him. Of course, there'll be plenty of football yet to play, but you're right, a big defensive series for Kentucky here.
Dobbs on the run, incomplete. The first look at what coaches see during practice that has them trying to contain the excitement about Joshua Dobbs. Inconsistencies in the passing game.
Yeah, a little bit up and down. You know, we talked about Dobbs and how he looks in practice. We'll say we want him to hit 10 out of 10 on certain passes. We don't want to see 7 out of 10. We just get done talking about the great ball placement to Pig Howard, and then he floats one over Von Pearson's head when he's open on the opposite boundary.
And that 10 of 10 is sometimes coming against strictly air. Blitz coming. Dobbs shakes a man. Pump fake gets him a couple more. And he gets undercut diving for the 1st down by Fred Tiller. So Darius Smith was the guy who flushed it.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, this is probably a sure sack. Poor pass protection. At first, you know, Kentucky got upfield so quickly, I thought maybe Tennessee was trying to set up a screen. It was a jailbreak from the get-go. And Joshua Dobbs, who's staying out there on the field, Butch Jones going to roll the dice and go for it on 4th. But it was his scramble to make this, you know, down in distance where they could actually go for it here.
4th and 1. The 3 of 7 on the season going for it. Dobbs trying to follow Hurd. Bud Dupree in on the stop. We'll see where the spot is. That yellow line, as you know, is unofficial.
Well, that's the element, the Tennessee offense, that they could not run with Justin Worley. Not with this level of effectiveness. Defenses didn't need to really honor the quarterback keep. You see Bud Dupree got juked a little bit, and that time Matt Crowder and Mike Douglas had gotten upfield and forced Joshua Dobbs back inside. Kind of hard to see with all those bodies how far the ball advanced before he had established himself down. He got it. That's 2 plays in a row. And what Joshua Dobbs brings is enabled Tennessee to maintain possession. You see Justin Worley threw the football well early this season and just took so many shots over the course of the year. By the time the Alabama game rolled around, it was time to go to somebody else. His career ended. Now he's a coach for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Dobbs trying to pump and go. Howard covered, incomplete. A.J. Stamps was draped all over Pig Howard.
They're trying to work that double move. And as we've seen, A.J. Stamps has been excellent in coverage so far in this game. Kentucky got victimized a couple of times by the University of Georgia last week. The challenge that Georgia poses a little bit different with a heavy run game. But here we've seen Stamps in coverage twice, able to defend the pass well.
Malone in motion. They give it to Hurd through a tight hole. And Hurd taken down a yard short. That'll set up 3rd and 1.
Jalen Hurd is an anomaly. And it's not just because of his size and speed, but it's the level at which he's playing so late in the season as a true freshman. You can take a guy at 6'3", 225 as a sophomore, maybe as a junior. But Jalen Hurd is an every down back for Tennessee. Late into the year, when mental and physical fatigue is starting to take it away from him, he's ramping up his production.
First quarter was a fantastic one if you're wearing orange. Questionable for Kentucky. Game day in Knoxville. And the Volunteers have a 14-3 lead through 1 quarter at Neyland Stadium. All right, Dari, thanks. How good has Lane Kiffin been for Amari Cooper?
Or how good has Amari Cooper been for Lane Kiffin?
Good point.
That's a hard one to figure. I mean, that guy's...
It's a chicken versus the egg type of conversation.
And know what? Nobody cares, because both of those guys, they've got that offense humming.
3rd and 1. Hurd right into the pile. Might have to bring out the sticks again.
You know, since Dobbs has become the quarterback in Tennessee, 3rd downs, they've been clicking them off at a pretty high rate, 50% 3rd down conversions the past 2 games. We've already seen on this series a 4th down conversion. They're going to bring out the sticks to measure this one again. On the previous 3rd down we saw, it was a nice one by Dobbs on the scramble.
Let's check in with Heather.
Little update for Patrick Tolles. He has his left ankle heavily taped. He is still walking a little bit gingerly, but he did warm up and does look like he will be out there on that next series. So good news for Cats fans.
All right, Heather, thank you. And even better news, Tennessee stopped just short. Chain Gang's been busy tonight, earning their game check, and Tolles waiting in the cold to get back on the field for Kentucky.
Right now, you see the coaching staff leaving the offense out on the field. Offensive line, they're ready to get over the football, knowing that they're just outside of the red zone. And as they see substituting in 2 tight ends, they're going to go with a big set. Try to get downhill to pick up what looked to be what? Certainly less than a yard. I mean, not even a foot to pick up this 1st down.
Kentucky answers with a jumbo group of its own. Got everybody within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. The center is Matt Crowder. Dobbs has it. And the rugby scrum continues. The spot is a 1st down.
Well, I've said it before, it's not as simple as just, hey, take the snap and lean forward or even drive your legs. You see Dobbs, he ends up sliding to the left of the center. You know, he hadn't had a ton of snaps, and you see Hurd getting in there. Brendan Downs, number 85, the tight end, giving a little nudge. But you got to give your offensive line just enough time to get that initial surge.
High snap handled. Definitely Hurd inside the 15. Let me go back to that for just 1 moment. So you don't want the quarterback and a quarterback sneak going immediately. He's just got to pause for a moment. And should he be right behind the center or go off the hip?
Well, a lot of times you'll see, and it depends on where the guard bubble is, he might need to slide, but you'll see quarterbacks get their feet tangled up in the offensive lineman.
Another high snap, and this one's a toss to Pig Howard again, and he gets wrestled down in the open field. Marcus McWilson on the tackle for Kentucky.
Yeah, back-to-back high snaps, and when you've got that exchange working, you know, it throws off the timing of the play. And that time, Pig Howard just trying to fight to get back to the line of scrimmage, and maybe a missed face mask. The fans in Neyland Stadium, of course, largely Tennessee contingent. feeling as if it should have been a call.
Dobbs looking, firing, completing. Von Pearson is in again. Touchdown, Tennessee.
That time throwing on the run. And Joshua Dobbs throws another strike. And look at this finish by Von Pearson. Just driving into the end zone, head down. We've already seen him break an open field tackle. That time able to work through the tackle of Marcus McWilson right at the goal line to get Tennessee into the end zone.
Von Pearson was in no man's land. Feather River, California, junior college. The Tennessee coaching staff found him, brought him to Knoxville. He told us earlier it was like a return to civilization. The kick is wide. Pearson's been fighting a high ankle sprain good chunk of the season, but he's got 2 touchdown grabs tonight. This time he was able to power right through Mick Wilson for the score. Already a wild day on the SEC Network. It continues tonight at 7 as 24th ranked Texas A&M welcomes Missouri, presented by Regions Banks. The game is also live on Watch ESPN.
A&M shocked everybody with that victory over Auburn last week. And they play a role in how things might end up. Now, of course, Florida's out of the picture with their overtime loss to South Carolina. You see Georgia facing Auburn. If Georgia beats Auburn and Missouri drops one of these games starting tonight versus Texas A&M, then it's Georgia's division title. Otherwise, the Missouri Tigers are still in the driver's seat with 3 conference games yet to play.
That East could be decided tonight with a Missouri loss in College Station and a Georgia win. Boom Williams will take a knee. We'll see how effective Patrick Towles can be. He got folded over his ankle early in the first quarter on the second possession for Kentucky. Pardon me, the first possession for Kentucky, the tail end of that opening drive. And after trying to retape him on the sideline, that tape job didn't work. They took him into the locker room. What's the difference between what happens with the trainers on the sideline versus the locker room?
I have no idea. I've never gone in there. A tape job's a tape job, so I don't know. Maybe they went in there and got in his head a little bit. Either way, certainly Kentucky's a different offense without Patrick Towles in the lineup. They went right down the field before stalling out in the red zone on their first possession. And he came out in that second snap of the second possession, and it's been all Tennessee ever since.
Towles is Kentucky's leading rusher thus far today. They go 4 wide to the left. Towles has man coverage on the right. And it is batted away by Cameron Sutton. Dorian Baker, the intended receiver, and Sutton with the strut afterwards for good reason.
We've seen Kentucky go after Sutton a couple of times in this game. And he is all over Dorian Baker, who is a big target. I think this ball was intended to be more of a jump ball. Dorian Baker at 6'3", 200 pounds. And Cameron Sutton able to go up and elevate and get that ball batted away.
So the lack of a run game for Kentucky again has them facing second and long. Tennessee shows blitz. Three yards before Barnett and A.J. Johnson converge.
You know, I've been a little bit surprised at how aggressive Tennessee has called this game so far. They don't blitz as much as many teams in this conference, just below the average, but they will bring pressure at times. And in this game, we've seen John Jancic, defensive coordinator, dial up some timely blitzes. That time filling both A gaps, which are the gaps on either side of the center, to negate that inside run with his linebackers.
Towles, flushed, escapes, fires, incomplete. Javis Blue was the intended receiver.
We've seen Patrick Towles last week as the trainers come on the field to tend to an injured Tennessee Volunteer defender. But last week flushed out of the pocket early on a couple of key third downs versus Georgia. That time stood in as long as he could, nowhere to go with the football. He was able to extend that play, but the pass was off target. As you can see, pretty good protection. He's got time. but nowhere to go downfield with the ball. You see that pass well behind Javis Blue. Blue incapable of making the adjustment.
Corey Vereen got short-circuited there, defensive end. His head coach will walk him off.
You don't often see head coaches run out there either. You know, this is a guy that his work ethic is outstanding. Corey Vereen's one of those guys that stays after late and comes early. Something that Butch Jones was surprised to see, pleased to see his entire team over the course of a bye week. No complacency after a big win. All of them wanting to put in the extra work to maintain the momentum that they were able to achieve with a victory over South Carolina.
Landon Foster to punt it away again. His father Cliff played for Johnny Majors here in the 80s. He was a safety for Tennessee. But after Derek Dooley pulled the scholarship offer for Foster, Cliff sent his Letterman's pin back to the university. He now bleeds blue, and Foster gets off a better punt that time. 20-3 here. Let's go back to the studio and check in with Dari.
All right, guys, how about we update Mississippi State, Alabama, and really it's a one-sided race. After a touchdown, then a Mississippi State 3-and-out. Blake Sims 50 yards down to Amari Cooper to the 1. Derrick Henry would punch it in from there. 19-0, Tide rolling in the second.
And that is how you get a #1 team as an underdog, and why.
That's right. I mean, all year, Mississippi State has hemorrhaged big plays, and they've been living on turnovers and great red zone defense. They've been fortunate on a couple of occasions to escape with victories after giving up big yards, including to a Kentucky offense that threw for over 400 yards in Mississippi State's first game with that #1 ranking. And it seemed like it was just a matter of time before yet another offense got off on Mississippi State. And right now the Bulldogs digging themselves a hole.
Only one time in the last 30 years has a #1 team playing their first game against a ranked team won that game. That was Oregon in 2010. Missouri in 2007 could have played for a national championship if they would have beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. They lost that one. Go all the way back to Auburn in 1984.
1984, that holds some significance in this series as well, as I recall. Last time Kentucky was able to escape with a victory out of Neyland Stadium. It's been a long time. You look at these two programs, we talk about striving for bowl eligibility, both of them looking to measure themselves against the other. And again, now Tennessee with an ineffective offensive possession, even with Patrick Towles in the game, with great starting field position to open up this offensive series.
14 consecutive home wins for Tennessee over Kentucky. Dobbs gives it up to Hurd. Jalen Hurd has 5. Zadarius Smith finally brought him down. Jalen Hurd against South Carolina had 125 yards rushing. That was the best rushing game by a Tennessee freshman since Jamal Lewis had a $127 in the 1997 SEC title game. Incomplete. If you're a freshman running back and all of a sudden you start getting compared to or putting up similar numbers to Jamal Lewis, you're doing not just something, you're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, you are. And you know, part of the reason why I think he's gotten so much better is he's been able to stay in there for a lot of reps, a lot of downs in game situations. He understands the pass protection. Offensive coordinator Mike Bajakian said it's remarkable how advanced he is in his understanding of the offense.
He set a Tennessee prep rushing record for touchdowns. Now Dobbs on the draw. First down for Tennessee. Josh Forrest with the stop.
When meeting with the Tennessee coaches, they were concerned with the QB draw. We've seen it. Kentucky's opening possession. And now, of course, it ends up being almost like a lead draw to a running back when you've got excellent runners at your quarterback spot, as is Josh Dobbs and Patrick Towles, his counterpart.
Quick hitter to the outside. Von Pearson. Brought down by A.J. Stamps.
That's easy yards if you can get a good block on the edge. And Pig Howard was able to tie up just long enough for Von Pearson to get upfield. He came up, looks like a little bit lame. See number 2. He's able to get upfield quickly enough and engage Tiller to allow Von Pearson to get upfield and pick up easy yardage.
On second down, Hurd has a first down. He is a beast. Ryan Flanagan with the stop.
Yeah, you know, I've heard him compared to a lot of guys. You know, to me, he looks like a young Eddie George, who's got a pretty nice doorstop in his house somewhere. Looks like a former coach, last name Heisman. Jalen Hurd at 6'3", and you look at him, the coaches say he walks into a room, everybody takes notice that he's in there. He's going to be a leader for this offense. But you could see today already with the 56 yards, figure pretty prominently what they're doing.
Dobbs to throw. On the run. Wide open. Inside the 10 is Ethan Wolf.
Ethan Wolf was the lead blocker on the quarterback draw a couple of plays ago. Now you're seeing the versatility. He is Tennessee's best blocker at the tight end position, but he's also an excellent receiver. And that time, able to run free in the Kentucky secondary.
This is Marlon Lane. And he's able to dive back to the line of scrimmage. No gain. Melvin Lewis was able to knife past that offensive line. The offensive line was the undoing for Tennessee for a good chunk of the season. Really, you could say until Dobbs got in at quarterback. How has his presence affected their play?
Well, you know, when you've got that element at quarterback, it distracts the defense and it can pull the defense apart. By that I mean you've got to be concerned by more than just one running threat in the offensive backfield. And that's certainly been able to open up some rush lanes.
This is Hurd. And he can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Jabari Johnson with the tackle. So the Tennessee offensive line almost doing it with smoke and mirrors. It's not like they got tremendously healthy or they improved a ton over the last month of the season.
You know, look, the only guy that they really got back healthy was Marcus Jackson, who missed some time, and Jacob Gillum, who's playing at right tackle for Tennessee with no ACL whatsoever. Number 65, you see him there. Says he feels like he's 100%. He's one of those guys who's willing to sell out for the program. Joshua Dobbs, you know, recognizing they got this scoring opportunity, wants to take another look at it.
Tennessee uses its first time out of the half. Gillum returns with no ACL. He'll be back on the field in a moment for the Vols.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by the So Good It's Blizzard Good Chicken Strip Basket from your DQ.
A.J. Johnson isn't just the SEC's leading tackler. He may be the best scooter rider, and he may be the leader of the scooter gang. That's right. Even have our own motto. Ride smooth, cool, and fast to class. Rule number 1, you don't talk about scooter gang. No, rule number 1, can't fall off. Rule number 2, if you see someone in the gang, you must say hey to them. And rule number 3, you can't ride anyone else's scooter if it's parked. You must say hi to them. That's like the bus driver way. You know, like bus drivers don't know each other. But as they pass,
they're gonna wave.
hey, you wave to the guy.
Part of the fraternity.
Your way.
Yeah.
3rd and goal. Dobbs hit, taken down. Bud Dupree, the top sack man in the SEC, came untouched to take down Dobbs.
We just talked about Jacob Gillum. This is Bud Dupree. They drop him about 50% of the time, but this time he gets a great get off. He's able to work his hands on Gillum, and Dobbs never feels him coming off the edge. He had his eyes downfield. Bud Dupree, if he's got his hand in the dirt and he's coming, that guy's numbers would have really jumped off the page this year. He sacrificed a lot, showing his versatility for the defense of Kentucky.
38-yard field goal attempt is good. Back to Bud Dupree, now 3.5 sacks away from the Kentucky school record.
Talk about the talent that he's got. You know, he could be a difference maker, is a difference maker, but just exclusively as a pass rusher, but he can do so much more for Kentucky on defense. He's a leader, that they'll use him in the outside linebacker spot. Going back to that South Carolina game, a game-changing, maybe program-changing win. It's Bud Dupree that took an interception into the house to seal that victory over the Gamecocks. He's a big playmaker for Kentucky on defense and is thought to be a first-round draft pick in this upcoming NFL draft.
20-point lead for Tennessee. Trying to make it 29 wins in the last 30 against Kentucky. Boom Williams from the 1. Puts his head down and takes it out to the 25. Time now for today's Aflac trivia question. 2 FBS schools have never lost more than 7 games in one season with a minimum of 5 years of FBS play. Who are they?
I actually think I know that one this week. Very excited at that, but I'm not going to give it away, of course. Let the folks at home play along.
Here's how important the turnaround will be for Tennessee. They've lost 7 games 4 consecutive seasons, including all 3 years under Derek Dooley, and 4 of the last 5. Lane Kiffin's lone year is the last time Tennessee did not lose 7 games. Tennessee took a timeout before the snap. I mean, you just...
Timeout, Tennessee. That is their second charge. Timeout.
It boggles my mind to think of this
will be a
Tennessee
30-second
football program
timeout.
and its grand tradition and history having lost 7 games for 3 consecutive seasons. Now, the fans don't mind. Well, I mean, let me rephrase it.
Wow.
Fans do definitely mind. But they bought back into the program. Today, the 4th sellout of the season, 102,455. It's the first time since 07 Tennessee had 4 or more sellouts.
Well, and to your point, that's part of what boggles the mind, is that Tennessee certainly does not lack for fan support. They certainly don't lack for facilities. Maybe the top facilities, top 2 at least, maybe to A&M's new facilities that they've got now. Any other team in the country, they're with the Alabamas, the A&M's. And so you look out on the field, the product on the field, and this is one of the foundational members of this conference, 13 conference championships. And it's been a long time. It's been a long road for these ball fans. They're coming in on their boats on game day, and they're still supporting it. But they haven't seen a ton of return. There's a chance this year for their team to finish with 4 wins in the conference, and that's a big step forward.
Michael Horton is in at running back. Tolles faked one way, tried to go back the other. Now he's running for his life to get back to the line of scrimmage. If you just joined us, Patrick Tolles turned his ankle on the first series of the game for Kentucky. He's got that left ankle taped all the way over the shoe now after a trip to the locker room.
Went back, maybe saw one of those horse trainers. Maybe that was the difference. You see him spat up that leg and make sure he can go, because outside of that opening possession, there's 3 punts and an interception sprinkled in there, return for a touchdown without Tolles in the lineup.
Tennessee brings 6. Tolles had it batted at the line of scrimmage.
It looked like Jordan Williams was able to get his hand up. He got a banged up wrist. That big cast was able to knock down that pass. And we talked about Tennessee this year on defense. They've done an excellent job, mainly on 3rd down. The past couple of games, they've started to slip. In fact, they've allowed 60% conversions. Right now, Kentucky having difficulty on this down, and certainly when facing 3rd and 10.
Tolles taken down again. Derek Barnett, the freshman defensive end.
He had Javis Blue, who'd won one-on-one at the top of the screen, but Derek Barnett made it to where it just didn't matter. Once again, he's working against Darian Miller. He just comes with a power rush and walks Darian Miller, who's a pretty good left tackle. You see them getting into it a little bit. No tackle likes getting beaten like that, especially with a bull rush. But he put Darian Miller right into Patrick Tolles' lap.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 29, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
And the shame of it for Landon Foster is that was his best, cleanest kick of the game. That was a 50-yarder off the foot. It goes for nothing. He's averaged 33.7 yards on 3 punts. Cameron Sutton now stands at the 46. That one never crossed midfield. Great field position for the Volunteers again after a 35-yard punt. It's UT on top by 20. Sophomore quarterback Joshua Dobbs at the center of this Tennessee resurgence, and it's appreciated by all on campus, including his classmates. This is the response that he got returning to class after the comeback win at South Carolina. Joshua Dobbs is an aerospace engineering major, which means he's kept busy. This is what his fall class schedule looks like. Thermodynamics, circuits and electromechanical components, fundamentals of physics, it's electricity and magnetism plus lab. Matrix computations, intro to business management, well that's easy. Computer solution to engineering problems. You are a Campbell Trophy Award winner. How does a guy balance a class load and SEC football?
I wouldn't know. I majored in typewriter maintenance. Nothing like a course load that Joshua Dobbs is doing.
Able to complete it to Josh Malone.
You know, with all that, and Joshua Dobbs is a very cerebral player. And it's interesting because we'll see him as they run up tempo, as they have been all game long. You don't want your quarterback to overthink things. You want him to be bright enough to know where to go with the football, but not overanalyze.
He knows to get it out quickly. He does so again. Jason Crew got a big pass against South Carolina. He's dragging cats with him right to the 40. Needed to be the 40 for a first down. Let's see where they put the football down. It'll be a Tennessee first down.
Well, that's all Jason Croom. He's 6'5", 245 pounds, and they just can't get him on the ground. You've got Cody Quinn coming up, Bud Dupree's there, Marcus McWilson, Ryan Flanagan. The whole defense arrives eventually, and it just doesn't matter. Croom, the big physical receiver, and he's able to just muscle his way for that first.
He outweighs Quinn by 70 pounds. Dobbs on the run. First down, Tennessee, and Joshua Dobbs. He looks so effortless in the open field. He's 6'3", he's a long strider. Doesn't look like he's really exerting a ton of energy when he takes off.
Yeah, well, you know, he's an engineering major, so he's efficient with everything he does. He just kind of glides along. But in the meantime, he's eating up yardage. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to blaze right past you, but he's plenty fast enough to hurt you, as we've seen on a number of occasions.
Hurd will take the direct snap now as Dobbs goes in motion. Hurd's got a lead blocker. Spins off a man, cuts by another, and he's inside the 20, down to the 12-yard line, where Matt Elam finally catches up with him.
There's a flag. It's getting chippy down there now, but we'll see Jalen Hurd, who he's broken out this spin move about halfway through the season. It's, at least when I started noticing it watching Tennessee.
Unsportsmanlike conduct foul, number 82 offense, number 33 defense. That is each one's first unsportsmanlike.
That's Ethan Wolf.
Set, first out.
He was the lead blocker working against Ryan Flanagan. One more of those and they're ejected.
We've seen Ethan Wolf already play a pretty big role as a blocker, and a nice catch downfield from his tight end position, and Ryan Flanagan, who got the nod over Khalid Henderson at the linebacker spot for Kentucky. And you can see, you know, a Kentucky team that's coming off a nasty run, 8 straight games. They're tired, and now they're getting backed up once again into the shadows of their own goalpost.
Dobbs to the outside to Pig Howard to the 10.
Interesting play call right there. Not necessarily because of the pass, but they faked the wham play. Daniel Helms slamming up into the middle of the defensive front to buy the backers, and then flip the football out wide.
So first wham reference of the night. This is Hurd. Josh Forrest with the tackle.
We see Jalen Hurd, number one, probably the top running threat, certainly coming out of the state of Tennessee. A big get for this program, but he's been the steady drumbeat in this offense. We talk about Joshua Dobbs coming in. They've had injuries at receiver, but it's Jalen Hurd has really been able to go wire to wire so far this season as a contributor to this offense.
Hurd in the high school ranks averaged 240 yards a game. This is Dobbs. Touchdown, Tennessee. Astro Dobbs, Space Dobbs, Major Dobbs, it doesn't matter.
Touchdown Dobbs. That's what they're looking at now more and more. Mark Stoops got to be very frustrated. You know, his defense, the past couple of weeks where they've had up and down efforts. You know, offensively, been without Patrick Towles for a stretch early in the first quarter. And Tennessee now starting to pile up points on a Kentucky team that's on the back end of maybe the most arduous stretch of any team in the conference. Joshua Dobbs capitalizing on some of their fatigue.
He accounted for 5 touchdowns against South Carolina. 3 today. All Dobbs in Tennessee in the first half in Knoxville. You guys are having too much fun. General Nealing's #1 maxim, the team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. That would apply to South Carolina, Florida today. Florida, too many mistakes, including giving up a blocked punt with under a minute to go.
It is unbelievable. You know, we're getting ready for this game. I thought the game was over, especially the way Florida can run the football late.
Here Neyland, it's 30-3. Tennessee in control. Kentucky's been meandering all night. That opening drive was a great one, but it was more Patrick Towles runs in that opening drive than I expected to be seeing an entire half. Than when he was lost, they were lost.
Yeah, you know, it's like the game got away very quickly from Kentucky. That opening possession, though, was more than promising. They hadn't scored on their first possession the last 4 games. They went right down the football field versus Tennessee. But the injury to Towles really derailed that momentum.
From the 1, it's Boom Williams. And he gets boomed. Let's answer that Aflac trivia question now. 2 FBS schools who have never lost more than 7 games in one season. Who are they?
This one, Tennessee, and Ohio State. Actually knew that one, Tom. Can you believe it? I was very proud.
Well, Kentucky plays a key role in this for Tennessee. Because as we talked earlier about, for the last 5 years, Tennessee's lost 7 games. Well, a few of those, they've needed wins against Kentucky in the finale to avoid losing 8. Starting with Phil Fulmer's last year in 2008. Derek Dooley had 2 wins against Kentucky in 3 years. Both of those victories kept him from losing 8 games. And Butch Jones last year able to snap a 4-game losing streak by knocking off Kentucky in the final game. Great penetration by Tennessee's Jalen Reeves-Maybin.
Trying to get Stanley Boom Williams back involved in this ball game. And Reeves-Maybin, the converted safety, able to get upfield quickly. And you can see the fortunes of this Kentucky offense have completely turned. Went right down the field, clicked off 5 first downs for 62 yards. And then they've done virtually nothing moving the football since then.
A loss of 4.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 73, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Kyle Meadows is number 73.
Kentucky's had to jockey around some guys in their offensive front. That's usually Jordan Swindle's spot. He started this game. Kyle Meadows in there for relief. Check and see what happened with Swindle there in Kentucky. And that was one of the areas of advantage coming into this game, they felt, was their size up front.
Towles wants it all on this play. Got it! A first down for Kentucky to Javis Blue. They face 2nd and 19, and Towles throws for 40.
We've seen multiple times where Neil Brown, offensive coordinator, has gone after Cameron Sutton. This time, though, working to Javis Blue, who is inside, versus Brian Randolph.
Towles, they got a hand on him, but that was it. And Braylon Hurd on the reception coming out of the backfield.
So Towles able to manage that pocket well. Kurt Maggitt got a great get off from his outside linebacker spot. He's able to get the football off. And they need some big plays. Kentucky needs to get some chunk yardage plays to spark this offense. We've seen them, as we mentioned, outside of that first drive, it's been a plodding offensive approach. A big play might spark this Kentucky possession.
Tolles looking for another big play. Sideline, great adjustment and a first down for Blue again.
Back-to-back plays, and they like what they've got. Brian Randolph working against Javis Blue. This time, out of the slot. Once again, it's the same matchup as the previous pass, but this time, the ball thrown a little bit, not necessarily back shoulder because it was underthrown. Randolph unable to come back, and Blue made a great adjustment on that football.
All three catches for Javis Blue today have gone for Kentucky first downs. Tolles running it. He's able to avoid a big hit from Randolph, who still took him down, a gain of a couple. Call it a 3-yard gain for Tolles on the quarterback run.
Now we've seen kind of reminiscent of that first possession. You hit a big play, now 2 big plays to Javis Blue, and then the quarterback run game. And in the red zone, as we've already seen when Tennessee possessed it, very dangerous. As we look at it, even with a 2nd and long, the attentions can be diverted from that tackle box, especially when the running back vacates the backfield. That quarterback can still run upfield and pick up yards.
Tolles looking end zone, fires, batted away, knocked down by Emmanuel Mosley. Wow, that Tennessee secondary is having a whale of a game today, especially when it matters most.
Other than those 2 big hits on this drive to Brian Randolph, we've seen them step up in the back end, and Emmanuel Mosley twice now able to get his hand on a Kentucky attempt. We saw him earlier on the reverse pass. He was able to defend Dorian Baker, and that time able to bat the ball down in the end zone.
What a grab. Was he inbounds? Yes. Ryan Timmons has it at the 2. It's a Kentucky first down.
Ryan Timmons, he got the first touch of the game to open up this football game for Kentucky, and look at that concentration. He's a guy that was chastised all week for his lack of attention to detail and drop balls. They wanted more consistent play. The second time that we really called his name, but that was a clutch catch. You see Kentucky jumping into this triangle formation in their offensive backfield.
Wittune and Warren are the 2 fullbacks in front of Braylon Hurd. Tolles keeps it himself. He's got vision and a touchdown for Kentucky. He saw it unfolding, and Patrick Tolles able to take it in for the first Kentucky touchdown of the day.
What an answer by this Kentucky offense, and it's been a long time coming in this game. Able to pick up that field goal, and then a drought ever since. It was the big pass to Javis Blue that really sparked this offensive drive. And Patrick Tolles, welcome return back into the offense after missing that second possession.
Of the 74 yards of that touchdown drive, 70 of them went to Blue through the air. Austin McGinnis with the extra point. And it's a 20-point Tennessee lead. Most importantly for Kentucky, a little bit of momentum and confidence that Tolles can do it.
And they knew that there was some opportunity coming into this game. You look at back-to-back games as Tennessee secondary has allowed school record days at the receiver position. It's not Amari Cooper, it was Pharaoh Cooper. Now Javis Blue able to contribute in a big way to Kentucky. You can see that drought. They started out kind of hot, went right down the field, and then it's been quiet ever since. And you look at that first possession from their own 8, their worst field position. Obviously, there's a pick 6 in there as well.
Most recent drive at the top of the screen, the touchdown. And their first at the bottom of the screen was a field goal. So those 2 scoring drives bookend an afternoon of malaise for the Kentucky offense.
You can clearly see what they like. They can get a matchup versus safeties. In this pass drive, it was Brian Randolph working against Javis Blue. He's really his biggest game all season has been versus Mississippi State. Caught a big touchdown pass versus them. It's been the big hitters that have gotten Kentucky back on track offensively.
Short kick, and Tennessee takes a fair catch at the 29-yard line. Well, that last drive for Kentucky defined by big plays, including this third down play to Javis Blue that went for 40 yards. Pardon me, it was 2nd and 19 on that one for 40, and then they hooked up again for 30.
Both times, excellent job by Javis Blue making some adjustments. We see Ryan Timmons able to extend and make that reception. And then, of course, Patrick Towles, who, as we've documented heavily in this game, is a legitimate threat, a big body, but also a guy that's faster, deceptively fast, when he's got the ball in his hands in the run game.
Towles against Mississippi State had a career day, 24 for 43, 390 yards. He joined Tim Couch and Jared Lorenzen to throw for 365 or more in 3 games in the same season. That's elite company when you talk about Kentucky quarterbacks. And a timeout taken by Tennessee.
Timeout, Tennessee.
They take a timeout with 1:27 to go.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
Tennessee fans, come out and cheer on your Volunteers over Thanksgiving weekend as they compete against the likes of Kansas, Marquette, and Michigan State in the Orlando Classic. That is a loaded field. For tickets and travel packages, log on to espnevents.com/Orlando-Classic. Thanksgiving weekend, and that used to be the date of this Kentucky-Tennessee rivalry. Now, Louisville will have that spot on Kentucky's roster, or Kentucky's schedule, excuse me. And in next year, they're going to play this game the end of October.
All part of that conference initiative to get the non-conference every year matchups between SEC teams and ACC teams in that final game.
Jalen Hurd out of the timeout. Takes it all the way to the 44 before Josh Forrest wrestles him to the ground.
And we've seen Tennessee, with no timeouts, they just burned one in the open of this possession. And we've seen them not scared to keep the ball on the ground. And last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, versus South Carolina, knowing that they have got the speed to get to the boundary and get out of bounds, and maintain some of that clock to work with.
Leaping grab made by Pig Howard. It'll be a first down, and the clock will stop for a moment to move the chains. Perhaps the most impressive part of Joshua Dobbs' game against South Carolina was the touchdown drive preceding the game-tying touchdown. He led them 85 yards without using a timeout. That left the defense to use all 3, and they got the ball back in time to tie the game with 11 seconds to go. Dobbs deep down the sideline. Great adjustment. First down, Tennessee. Jason Croom made some room.
It's twice now that we've seen Jason Croom use that big body of his. Before it was to get a first down versus about the entire Kentucky defense. This time downfield, able to create separation with the ball in the air.
Dump out to the fullback. Alex Ellis taken down inside the 5. Touchdown saving grab by Josh Forrest. Clock at 30 seconds and running. Dobbs says he's going to spike it. And he does. 8 seconds ran off between the end of the play and the spike.
And how quickly Tennessee gets down the football field. And Pig Howard, and then you hit the big one to Croom. Alex Ellis, he's had a reception in each of the past 2 games. Had a big one last game versus South Carolina in the 1-minute drill to move the football past midfield. And then again here, gets stopped just shy of the goal line. So Mark Stoops has run all the way out on the field to get his timeout.
Kentucky, that is their first charge timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Volunteers left with a 3rd and 1 from the 4-yard line. Celebrating its 10th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. Since 2005, All-State has contributed more than $3.7 million in scholarship funds. Nightfall at Neyland on the banks of the Tennessee River on a chilly night, as Kentucky and Tennessee meet for the 110th time. Tennessee has won 28 of the last 29 against Kentucky in the game that Mark Stoops refers to as a rivalry. Another rivalry game waiting for Kentucky as they close the year with Louisville.
This is a big momentum swinger. You just pick up a touchdown of your own, and your defense allows your opponent to go right down the football field. Tennessee getting the football first in the second half. This could be a crushing blow if the Volunteers come away with a touchdown.
Knopf looks end zone. Fires incomplete through the hands of Kroom. Kroom with a huge size advantage on the cornerback Cody Quinn. And on 4th and 1, they bring on the kicking team.
That ball had some heat on it. And he got there in a hurry. It was a wobbler, but thrown high to allow Jason Kroom to use that advantage you just referenced. Kroom unable to corral that pass.
From the right hash, Aaron Medley, who's already made one from 38. 21-yard attempt. And an impressive drive for Tennessee, marching downfield without the benefit of timeouts.
Once again, we've seen this. Calm under pressure. Joshua Dobbs, that's really, I think, where he's stood out the most. Coming into this outfit offensively, spending most of the year with the idea that he might redshirt, and then you're inserted versus one of the top teams in the country in Alabama, and then asked to come up from behind twice in the 4th quarter to engineer 1-minute drives, and he's able to come through in the clutch in both instances. And you can see how he can contribute in both phases of his game, running the football and forcing the football downfield.
Well, Joshua Dobbs getting the start after starting against South Carolina last time out for Tennessee. He came off the bench against Alabama. A couple of touchdown passes to Von Pearson and a touchdown run. That's 8 touchdowns accounted for Dobbs over the last 2 games.
Coming into this season, last time he'd had a start, he was facing Kentucky, able to get a victory for a Tennessee program that was somewhat starved for them a season ago. He's able to build on that experience so far here tonight.
Short kick. And Kentucky will have time left as DeMarco Robinson gave him good field position. 2 timeouts remaining for Kentucky.
DeMarco Robinson able to bring that football back almost to midfield. Conceding, obviously you don't want to give a return. Conceded a ton of yards. Now another second ticking off the clock. Down to 9 seconds. But Kentucky with time enough to take a shot at the end zone.
Cole steps up. Tipped and caught. Clock at 3. And Kentucky will hustle to the line. Javis Blue with another big grab. That's the 4th reception for Blue of 20 yards or more, and that gives him 129 yards in this first half.
Smart. Javis Blue catches this ball in the middle of the football field. You've got timeouts to work with, and watch him take a knee immediately. Since they're trying to string this thing out, the defense is collapsing in on him. They're able to get a timeout, able to run one more play.
They're going to bring on the kicker, Austin McGinnis. His long this season is 53. There's not much wind at field level on a cold night. But with temperatures in the mid-30s, the ball's going to feel like kicking a rock for this 54-yard attempt for McGinnis. They have a 51-yarder against Florida near the end of regulation. Good snap, good hold. And he sneaks it over.
Wow.
54-yarder for Austin McGinnis. And Kentucky scores on each of its last 2 possessions before the half. They keep it a 20-point game. That was a line drive. Good only by a couple of yards.
It's a long way to kick a rock because that thing had to have been hard, but boy, did he make it count. That's well executed right there. They took advantage of the good field position off the short kickoff. Marco Robinson got the ball back to near midfield. Javis Blue kneeling down. That was great execution by Kentucky.
As a school record kick. Now let's go down to Heather, standing by with Butch Jones.
Coach, you were able to score in the opening drive and settle for a field goal there at the end. What's working for Josh Dobbs in your offense tonight?
Well, again, we've been able to have balance, and we've been able to effectively run the football, mix it up with the play action pass, and we've been ahead of the field position game, but we have to regroup and come out very strong in the second half.
Your defense has played well all night long. Your secondary has been extremely disruptive. How do you assess their play?
Well, again, I don't like us giving up the 3 points, but again, it's a new half. We have to continue to apply pressure to the quarterback.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly has worked, Heather. That's the most points in the first half for Tennessee against an SEC opponent since 2003, when they led Vandy 41-0 at the half. 33-13, Tennessee in front of Kentucky. Now to the studio for the Auto Owners Insurance Halftime Report. Here's Dari. Welcome back to SEC Network College Football from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Volunteers lead Kentucky 33-13 after a flurry of scores to close the first half. Tom Hart alongside Matt Stinchcomb. We knew quarterbacks would be key in this game, as they are every game, but Kentucky was a different team without Patrick Towles. That probably should be expected. Their offense with them has looked really good.
Yeah, they were able to start this game off very, very quickly, and we've seen Patrick Towles able to stretch the football field, especially later in the half, to Javis Blue. It started out in the game that way. He was able to hit a big pass to Blue to open up their first possession, and then right before the half, they were able to get into the end zone by getting the ball to Javis Blue downfield. But we've noted Joshua Dobbs, ever since he's entered the starting lineup for Tennessee, they've been a different team offensively, and a lot of it has been in those end-of-half moments. So once again, Tennessee able to demonstrate that they can move the football down the field very quickly. Stuff Jason Kroom was the receiving end of some of those passes from Dobbs. With both of these quarterbacks, the fortunes of their respective offenses hinge on their play.
And for Towles and Blue, of the 146 pass yards for Towles, Blue has a $129. The other receivers have combined for 4 catches for just 15 yards for Kentucky. The Wildcats have been one-dimensional when it comes to the pass game. Tennessee will receive the second half kickoff. Evan Berry in the end zone for the Vols. Austin McGinnis hit a school record 54-yard field goal to close the half to tally another score for Kentucky. Berry on the run from the 9. Good blocking. He's to the 30. He's all the way to the 40. And Evan Berry takes it past the 45-yard line, just shy of midfield. Let's go down to the sidelines and check in with Heather.
Yeah, Coach Stoops told me at halftime that defensively they need to do better on their tackle. He said they're being a little bit too soft. Offensively, he said the opening drive and the way they ended were great, but everything in between he's not very happy with. Also, he said for the wide receivers, they need to step it up and make more competitive plays.
All right, thanks, Heather. Indeed, one-dimensional in that passing game. Blue has 5 of the catches for 129, and 4 of them went for first downs. That was a 39-yard return for Evan Berry, setting up Joshua Dobbs and company. Dobbs to the edge. Wow! Jason Kroom. Touchdown, Tennessee. 52-yard score. That was nearly a pick. It was going for 6 either way.
Yeah, it looked like that ball got a little more upfield than Joshua Dobbs would have intended it. You see Pearson able to get out in front, and that ball just led Kroom upfield, so that when he caught that football, a lot of times the receiver is static. He's just standing there, and then he's got to restart. That time, you know, the ball was placed. I don't know if it was intentional, but that allowed Kroom to run into the throw. He had a head start. as he worked his way down to the end zone. What a way to start the half.
Tennessee coaches up in the booth just next to us, all watching that replay because they saw what we saw. That wasn't a good pass when it left the hands of Dobbs. It turned in to a 52-yard scoring strike.
Now, you're right. I mean, when he let that football go, I thought, nah, that ball's a little too far upfield. Usually, you see that ball lead the receiver, if anything, backwards. Allows the block to get set up in front of him. But this time, Dobbs, it's a quick release. It's a catch and throw. Oftentimes, quarterbacks don't even get the laces. And Jason Kroom is breaking out in this ball game. We've seen him at 6'5", almost 250 pounds. Good power for yards. He's gotten behind the secondary. He's created space with the ball in the air. And now we've seen him able to streak downfield to open up this second half with another scoring strike.
It's a third passing touchdown for Joshua Dobbs today. He's also run one in. That's 6 touchdowns against just 1 pick in his 2 starts this season.
You know, we talk about the end of halves and his poise, but the other thing is this offense is much more explosive with Joshua Dobbs. Before, Justin Worley did a great job with what he had in the passing game, but they were so one-dimensional. The offense lacked balance, and that's something that Coach Jones talked about going into half. He liked that his offense was balanced in the first half, and already we've seen that explosiveness in the offense be unleashed already here in the second.
Boom Williams straddling the goal line. Out to the 22. 52-yard touchdown pass, a career long for Dobbs. Here's how Bob Kessling called it on the Ball Network.
Quarter. It'll be Dobbs, swings the little flanker screen on the right side and breaking it to the 40, to the 30, down the far sideline to the 20, 10, 5, checkerboards, touchdown, Jason Kroom, play number 1 in the third quarter. 50
checkerboards indeed, the third of the night for Dobbs.
Well, let's not forget, too, you know, one of the things that Kentucky has struggled with, especially last week, is in the return game. Drive set up, you're playing on a 50-yard field because of good kick return.
Tolles trying to set up a screen the other way for Kentucky. Ryan Timmons make up his mind which way he was going. It's a gain of 3 at first down. So for Kentucky, offensively especially, they didn't just give up a 52-yard touchdown. They didn't give up that long drive. They scored on consecutive possessions behind Tolles, including that long field goal. They have to be operating with more confidence now.
Yeah, they have to basically just operate in a vacuum, and it's as if it never happened. There's a sense of urgency, of course, because the scoreboard is getting away from them. They can't allow the deficiencies on the other side of the ball to hurt your performance.
2nd and 7, trying to go underneath the zone. Boom Williams, the intended receiver, fell incomplete.
Again, Tennessee able to get pretty good push in their pass rush. And part of it has been, you know, Patrick Tolles got roughed up pretty good versus Missouri. Last week versus Georgia, he was seeing ghosts a little bit. Sacked 3 times. A couple of those were due to tight ends being misassigned, incapable of blocking. But Tennessee's done a good job with just their down 4 of making Patrick Tolles feel the pressure.
Great jump at the edge, but it'll draw a flag. It wasn't as good as I thought. Ryan Timmons with the catch. It was Kurt Magid who got an early start.
Free play, I'm sure they'll decline with Timmons on the end.
Offside, number 56, defense. That penalty is declined, the result of the play is the first down.
You see at the bottom of your screen, Kurt Magid just a little bit early. Probably operating with one of those silent counts when you're on the road. And again, Jordan Swindle, number 70, the starter, still not in the lineup for Kentucky.
A.J. Johnson able to wrap up Braylon Hurd after a gain of 2.
What's especially been lacking, certainly not the chippiness. We've seen this a couple of times, but what's been lacking in this game for Kentucky especially, we've seen them get some big plays in the passing game. Patrick Tolles has been able to get a couple of runs on QB draws, but really Kentucky has not been able to get much going on the ground, which is something that they were able to do last week versus Georgia with some effectiveness, was run the football. We haven't seen that here tonight.
19 rushes for just 52 yards for Kentucky tonight. Tolles jumps out of the pocket. And a slide, picked up a first down, took an elbow, and that will draw a flag. McNeil and Randolph both converged on him. And one of them with the atomic elbow as Tolles slid in after the first down run.
Yeah, Ladero McNeil, when a quarterback's giving himself up, you can't take a free shot on him. A lot of times you'll see guys fly over the top. But that time, both safeties for Tennessee converging on Patrick Tolles and delivering him a pretty nasty shot.
Remember, Kentucky's first drive of the game was aided by a penalty against Tennessee.
Personal foul. Late hit with targeting on the defense.
Should be
number
McNeil.
37. By rule, number 37 is disqualified from the game.
Okay, so it's on Brian Randolph. It was McNeil with the elbow. It was Randolph immediately before that. See if we can spot it.
Yeah, you see it there as Tolles is, he didn't lead with the crown of his helmet, but he did make contact above the head or neck. He's a defenseless player because he's given himself up. McNeil, you're right, he had the elbow in there, but it was Brian Randolph, who come from the left side of your screen, and it looked like the forcible contact, which is different from last year, was made to the head or neck area of Patrick Tolles. We didn't have any really reviewable plays in that first half. Now early in the second, replay booth taking a close look.
Targeting was just part of the foul, so even if they rescind the targeting, the 15 yards would still stand. Robert Rougeau is our replay official tonight. And quite frankly, we talk a lot about defenseless players. A quarterback sliding is the ultimate defenseless player. There's no room for the elbow. There's no room for targeting. There's no room to try and make a tackle on a guy who's sliding.
Right. He's giving himself up. He's down. He's saying, I'm down. The play is over. You really shouldn't even be close proximity. Usually you'll see guys, as I said, they'll kind of fly over a guy because you're coming in full speed. You're looking to make a play, and if they're quick to go down to the ground, but you'll see the defenders, they'll either come flying over top of a sliding quarterback, but that time.
After video review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It was targeting. Number 37 is rejected.
So Brian Randolph is out of the game and will miss the first half of the last one for Tennessee.
And he'll miss the first 2 quarters versus Missouri next week. Brian Randolph, as we mentioned, he comes in there and plows right into, leading with his head into Patrick Tolles' head. You can see the quarterback for Kentucky saying, what's going on? I gave myself up. That's going to hurt Tennessee's secondary, certainly in the balance of this game, but also for the first 2 quarters of the next versus the Missouri Tigers.
Now Randolph will have to leave the playing field. Todd Kelly Jr. now into the safety spot. Tolles steps up. He's going to run again. Not going to slide this time. And he crawls forward for a couple more. And that would have made the Tennessee defenders hesitant on the quarterback run that time.
You better believe they had it in their head. That's for certain. And again, Patrick Tolles, opportunistic, managing the pocket, getting upfield, picking up yards where he can.
Inside the 15 is Garrett Johnson on his first reception of the night.
Well, the fans are questioning. You can see Coach Jones pleading with the field judge right there. A little bit of extra shot there at the tail end, they felt. As I mentioned, it's been chippy at times in this game, but Kentucky using their tempo to get over the football quickly.
Hurd has it. Tucks in the backfield. Still able to manage a yard out of it. Emmanuel Mosley and Todd Kelly Jr. coming up with a stop for Tennessee. 3rd down.
Force that 3rd down. Emmanuel Mosley, once again, we've seen him with a couple of pass breakups in the first half. He was the guy that the coaches mentioned last week. He's really emerged and allowed them to play Justin Coleman and Cameron Sutton outside in their nickel package. Emmanuel Mosley, that time in run support, to force a 3rd and long.
On the slant, incomplete. DeMarco Robinson was the intended receiver.
He's trying to fit it in there to Robinson, but they had sent Boom Williams in motion, and he was open. The outside at the top of the screen. See Tolles, he fits that ball in there. You got to make that catch and convert that 1st down for your team.
30-yard attempt for Austin McGinnis. And Kentucky has now scored on 3 consecutive possessions, 2 of them field goals from McGinnis. Good from 54 and good from 30 on the first possession of the second half. High-scoring affair in Knoxville tonight. Both teams have traded scores in the second half, and we are off and running. Yeah, Dari, thanks. It's a Big Ten single-game rushing record set by Melvin Gordon. Don't sleep on the Big Ten. 3 of the top 10 rushers in college football, kind of playing to their stereotype, and they're trying to get it done in cold weather throughout the league today. Ohio State and Minnesota played in the snow flurries.
He's facing off against a pretty good one in Nebraska. Amir Abdullah, another one of those guys, explosive runner on the ground. Telvin Coleman, kind of quietly at Indiana, another one of those great rushers.
What is it about Wisconsin running backs? Ron Dane is the all-time leading rusher in NCAA history. Heisman Trophy winner. Evan Berry hesitated, still brought it out. Had a great return last time. Can't replicate it this time. Yes, maybe he can. Wow, he's fighting off tackles out to the 28-yard line. So what's going on in Tuscaloosa is really interesting when you think about what's on the line. Still 4 teams as of right now in the running for the West Division title.
And those 2 teams in Mississippi State and Alabama, they control the way this season can unfold for them. Mississippi State battles back and then beats Ole Miss. Of course, they finish undefeated, win the division. If Alabama takes care of the Bulldogs and then wins in the Iron Bowl versus Auburn, then they're the division winner. But if you start shaking things up, and you look at an Alabama team, they beat Mississippi State, but they lose to Auburn. Auburn beats Georgia. It gets real muddy real quickly.
The freshman Hurd tried to spin again, and he spun right into a tackle.
That time, Brian Flanagan, a guy who got to the campus late for Kentucky, didn't get a lot of the summer work. He's a guy that they're trying to figure into their defensive plans more and more.
Josh Malone goes back outside. Brought down by Bud Dupree, as Malone sacked today for Kentucky. So you're talking about earlier, Dupree sacrificing some of his personal stats, playing a lot in pass coverage.
Yeah, you know, they dropped him a good bit. You know, he's one of those guys that if they wanted to, that they could just bring him off the edge every down if they wanted, certainly in passing downs. And he plays well enough at the point of attack versus the run where he could be a line of scrimmage player exclusively, but he's a good enough athlete, former tight end, to where they can drop him into pass coverage as well.
Dobbs pressured, escapes on the run, completes. First down for Tennessee to Pig Howard. Marcus McWilson came in to take down Howard, but Dobbs is the one that kept it alive. There's a reason he's only been sacked once tonight.
Yeah, he's just proven to be really elusive, you know, and you see the spin move out of Blake McLean's would-be tackle, but he's able to get his eyes right back downfield, and that allows him to deliver the football in the passing game without having to tuck and run every time.
Jalen Hurd, gain of 8 and still moving.
We talk about this Kentucky team and what they've been through. Tough road that they've been on, of course, 5 straight conference games. And on a couple different occasions, we've seen where a Tennessee ball carrier or receiver be surrounded by Kentucky defenders, and rather than forward progress stopping, they'll pick up another 2 and 3 yards.
Hurd has the first down. You think Kentucky's just playing tired at this time of the year?
I think Kentucky's gassed. You know, coming into this game, that had to have been a concern by the coaching staff. Knowing the road that they've been through, they play a lot of young guys. They're certainly on the offensive side of the football. Defense, they've got some more veteran fellas. But regardless, you look at the teams that they've had to play and how many games that they've had consecutively, and I think that the tank is getting pretty dry.
First down, Dobbs over the middle. Finds his tight end, Ethan Wolf, for a Tennessee first down. Second first down catch for Wolf tonight.
And part of what Tennessee has done and was clearly part of the game plan coming in was knowing Kentucky coming into this game hadn't been worn out. They've done a lot of tempo. They moved pretty quickly, especially in the first half.
Marlon Lane this time. Jabari Johnson in on the tackle for Kentucky.
And Kentucky, as you see Matt Crowder, regardless of if he's okay, I'll have to come out without because he lost his helmet on this play, unless he removed it in pain.
Tennessee is thin enough on the offensive line. They're playing a guy without an ACL. See how they make do without Crowder next. Remember that Iron Bowl game a couple years ago? Big lead.
All of them.
Dissipated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cam Newton, I tell you what, we've seen some Heisman trophies won versus Alabama. This is an opportunity for Dak Prescott. He's got a couple of picks in this game from what we've heard in these cut-ins. And if he engineers a comeback victory, might as well save him a seat in the front row up there in New York.
Matt Crowder, the Tennessee center, got twisted up on this last play, his left leg. Ouch.
See him there, yeah.
That's more than twisted.
Rolled up. Not putting any weight on it as he leaves the field. Dan Mahoney, offensive line coach, he's had his work cut out for him all season long now. And Dylan Weissman, who we saw earlier, taking some practice snaps with Joshua Dobbs, number 71, who come in relief of Matt Crowder. He's gutted it out a lot this year. Been a mainstay for that offensive line all year.
And so Weissman, sophomore from Cincinnati, out of powerhouse Colerain High School. Second and 8. Fumbled snap. No matter. Still got it to Lane. He rolls just shy of the 30.
The placement of that snap wasn't bad. I wonder if it wasn't a little bit of a knuckler. You see it kind of flipping around as it arrived to Josh Dobbs. Usually just kind of push it back there. They're not looking for a perfect spiral. But that time Weissman threw him a bit of a curveball.
Incomplete on third down. Kendall Randolph had the coverage for Kentucky.
I wonder, that ball is kind of helicoptering back to Josh Dobbs, both of those snaps. And as quickly as they have to catch it and release it, they can throw the timing off a little bit. You see that ball kind of rotating. Josh Dobbs catching it by the ends, the points of the football.
And so it leaves Aaron Medley with a 48-yard field goal attempt. He's already made 2 tonight from 38 and from 21. Just wide.
Well, more than just a missed field goal for Tennessee on this drive, but the injury to Matt Crowder, and they come up points empty here.
Well, Weissman talking it over on the Tennessee bench. See if Kentucky can and score again. 3 consecutive possessions they've been able to. The only difference is the last 2 they've had to settle for field goals. They can't catch up with triples tonight. They turn to JoJo Kemp for the first time tonight. A guy who's kind of been lost in the shuffle, and this makes you wonder if they're going to put JoJo Kemp in at tailback. It may not be long before we see JoJo Kemp in the Wildcat.
We've seen them enjoy success with him before, but as you mentioned, you're down 24 points. You have to start thinking about how you're going to climb out of this hole more quickly than just run the football.
How about a deep ball from Tolles? Man open, just overthrew him. DeMarco Robinson got separation between he and Justin Coleman, but ball had too much separation on Robinson.
Robinson definitely had a step on Coleman, and he had an opportunity at that football. I'm not sure he didn't lose it right there as the ball arrived. And a deep ball would have been ideal to get that completion and get some chunk yardage to jumpstart this possession.
3rd and 6. Tennessee breaks 3. They still got to Tolles. Kurt Magid sliced into the backfield.
We saw Kurt Magid. He got an early jump on a previous Kentucky possession. But this time, this is just a great pass rush by Magid. Watch him get low and dip under the hands of Kyle Meadows. And he was able to get on top of Patrick Tolles' ankles and rule him down. Great job by Kurt Magid getting upfield in his pass rush.
Fair catch taken by Sutton.
Sutton, fair catches.
Kurt Magid having some fun tonight. He stepped up big for Tennessee.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by AT&T. AT&T is an official sponsor of the SEC.
Well, 1984 was the last time Kentucky won a game here in Knoxville. George Adams scored both touchdowns for the Cats. Set the single-season Kentucky record for rushing touchdowns that year. Kentucky won 17-12. Here's a throwback. Space Shuttle Discovery made its first voyage. Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Beverly Hills Cop, and the Karate Kid all came out. Haywood Ledford and John Ward were both in the booth calling games for their respective schools back then. 2 legends.
I wonder how much shares of Apple was back then. The first Apple Macintosh sold in 1984. We'd be retired, Tom.
First down.
Imagine the size of our yacht in the ball, maybe. Dobbs goes to the tight end again over the middle. Alex Ellis this time. That was a smart hookup. Dobbs is an aerospace engineering major. Ellis is a biomedical engineering major.
Unbelievable. Lots of brains in that pass reception involved. And a little bit of athletic ability, of course, as well. Alex Ellis, the coaches love his character.
Dobbs leaves the backfield. Jalen Hurd will take the snap, and he'll run it himself. Got good blocking from Wolf, the tight end. Josh Forrest on the stop for the Cats. Flag down.
During the run, holding number 73 offense. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay the down.
Ja'Shawn Robertson is a freshman.
Yeah, he's hugging him. Yeah, there for a second I was going to defend him.
You tried.
I tried, you know, but he got a little handsy there on Jason Hatcher.
Jalen Hurd Whoa, he got depleted at the 45. Bud Dupree with the stop.
Yeah, Bud Dupree caught him right as he was leaving his feet. Jalen Hurd was jumping, it looks like, trying to clear some traffic on the ground. And Bud Dupree, you see him closing in, caught Jalen Hurd with both feet off the ground.
Dobbs, pump fakes, was able to get some yardage, and the football came out. Flag down. We got extra work going on. Multiple flags. The ball ended up in the hands of Alex Ellis. This SEC crew has been kept busy, haven't they?
Yeah, especially here in the second half. It was kind of quiet the first two quarters. They've been a lot more active this half.
After the play, personal foul, number 1, defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's A.J. Stamps.
Well, we've mentioned A.J. Stamps a couple of times in pass coverage. That time, I don't know if he came running in late.
Bottom of the pile, left side.
Yeah.
He kicks Ellis in the head.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, it's a loose ball, so the officials are converging on that area anyway. There's no chance you get away with it. It's a bonehead move by A.J. Stamps.
Hurd. Gain of 4. Flanagan with the stop.
A little bit of frustration. I mean, we've seen this evidenced tonight, really from both sides. You know, this is a lot of at stake in this game. Kentucky's been sitting on go for a long time for the postseason.
Tennessee has as well 2 of the longest droughts among Power 5 teams when it comes to the postseason. Colorado, Indiana haven't been since 2007. Kansas put a scare to TCU today. Jayhawks haven't been there since 2008. And then Kentucky and Tennessee both next on the list.
Yeah, you can imagine the pent-up angst for both of these programs, and especially for Kentucky, really, because you see them, they've been sitting at that 5 wins for 4 games now.
Couple more for Hurd. Stop short of the first down. Josh Forrest, another stop.
Couple that with, you know, the trajectory that it appears Tennessee is on. You know, a 40-point exhibit here tonight. Of course, 7 of those on a pick 6 by the defense. But you got to know that the other sideline opposite the Volunteers has got to be more than frustrated with how this season has unfolded, and really how tonight has gone so far, having given up 40 points.
39-yard attempt. Got it. Aaron Medley's been busy tonight. He is 3 for 4. And Tennessee puts another tally on the board, 43-16. Ball's in front. Cold enough for Smokey Dog to have a jacket on tonight.
Yeah, you know it's cold, Win. He's probably got a sweater on underneath there.
I just don't understand your playoff teams. You get 2 guys in there with a loss. Florida State hasn't lost a game this year.
Golly, I know.
What else are they supposed to do to be approved by you?
Well, let's see, last year they played an inferior schedule and won by 40. This year they're winning by 15. Came from behind 4 times.
What does last year have to do with this year?
Last year you needed to be dominant over an inferior schedule. This year you haven't been dominant over an inferior schedule. I'll tell you what, they're going to mess around, and there's a chance at Florida State they might get frozen out of this thing. And if you can drop them for Oregon, Oregon beats Utah. I guess they like Utah a lot because that's helped Arizona State and Oregon now. But you look at these teams that they've beaten. You know, Clemson got destroyed by Georgia Tech. You've got a Duke team that went down to Virginia Tech today. They're eyeballing a game versus Miami. Miami lost to Nebraska, the beleaguered Big Ten. The schedule's unimpressive.
Complete to Jameis Blue. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a team that lost out in the desert to Arizona State, gave Arizona State a lot of credit. Arizona is a ranked team simply because they beat Oregon, right?
I don't know why Arizona's ranked, frankly.
So Jeff Long, the director of athletics at Arkansas, has said, as the head of the committee, given Oregon credit for a win against a ranked Arizona team. Well, the only reason Arizona's ranked
is because they beat Oregon. Yeah.
Florida State can't win against that kind of logic. Ball's loose. Tolles is able to. No, he didn't. And thankfully, his offensive lineman, Darian Miller, able to scoop it up, fall on it, after Tolles whiffed on the fumble the first time.
Big Kyle Meadows, I think, ended up flopping on this football, and it was just a bad exchange. Zone read. Looked like Tolles had intended to hand that football off. Ended up on the ground. See Kurt Maggitt down there whipping this crowd up.
Blitz coming. Tolles intercepted. Justin Coleman to the 20. Another takeaway for Tennessee. Second pick of the night for the Vols.
Another big play in the secondary from Tennessee. Justin Coleman working in the slot. They're trying to get the football downfield. That time they were looking for Ryan Timmons again. The ball was thrown behind. Justin Coleman able to come up with an interception and go the other way with it. We saw that early on in the game, first quarter. Patrick Tolles was out. Reese Phillips was in and had a pick six.
After the play was over, we had offsetting unsportsmanlike fouls. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike. 72, Kentucky, 56, Tennessee. Those penalties offset. It'll be Tennessee's ball, first down.
John Toth and Kurt Maggitt. But Justin Coleman with his third pick of the season. Second consecutive game with a takeaway for Coleman. Prime real estate for Tennessee after the takeaway again. Seems like they've operated on a short field most of the night. Dobbs to the flat, incomplete. He had Daniel Helm all alone.
Daniel Helm, another one of those freshman players, true freshman at the tight end spot. They utilize him a lot. Looked like he threw his hand a little bit, cold night. That time he just tried to run before he completed the reception.
Hurd again. Stopped by Josh Forrest. Let's find out what's going on down on the Tennessee sideline. Heather?
Yeah, Tennessee ahead with the lead right now, but wide receiver coach Zach is still over here on the sideline, getting after Jenkins and Malone, expecting the best from them, and Josh Dobbs giving instruction to his tight end, Ellis, obviously trying to fine-tune their offense going forward.
All right, Heather, thanks. A lot more talent on this wide receiving core than when this coaching staff first showed up in Knoxville. Von Pearson, the junior college transfer, has 2 touchdowns tonight.
See, that is the first charge timeout of this half.
Tennessee uses a timeout with 1:08 to go in the third quarter. Let's find out what else is going on. Go to the studio and check in with Dari.
Guys, keeping an eye on Alabama and Mississippi State. It got to a 6-point game, and then Alabama with a beautiful drive that took over 6 minutes off the clock, culminating in a T.J. Yeldon touchdown. It's a 25-13 lead, but Mississippi State now driving. Meanwhile, don't forget Kyle Allen and Texas A&M. Allen about to make his 3rd career start against Missouri around 7:30 Eastern.
All right, Dari, thank you. Here's some notes on Tennessee tonight. Most points in the first half of an SEC game since a 41-0 lead against Vandy in 03. Career long pitch and catch from Dobbs to Kroom. A.J. Johnson has racked up his 3rd consecutive 100-tackle season, first Tennessee player since the mid-70s. Derek Barnett has set a single-season freshman record for sacks and tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Couldn't even get through it all. It's been such a busy night. And once again, it's Hurd. Jalen Hurd, the last 2 games, has proven to be almost impossible to bring down in the passing game.
You can see that, this guy's really acclimated to the collegiate level now. At this point, he hasn't had a full off season here at the University of Tennessee, but it's his contact, the yards after contact, that has really changed in his game. Early on in the season, he goes down earlier on that reception, that time able to push the football further upfield.
Hurd again to the pylon. He is ruled down at the 1-foot line by Josh Forrest, who brought him down. Hurd tonight has 117 yards before that play.
I'm not sure he didn't get in the end zone there. They'll probably take another look at it.
Where's the ball when the knee was down is my only question.
It looks like he hits the pylon before his left knee, if his left knee grazed the grass.
Yeah, his left knee left a divot just inside the 1-yard line. So as we take another look, the question is where the ball was. One final note on that previous graphic. Hurd tonight became the first true freshman since Jamal Lewis for Tennessee with 3 100-yard games. He's in.
It looks to me like he's in, yeah. I mean, if the question is if he's out of bounds, the only thing that would have established him out of bounds would have been his right arm. His right arm's capturing the pylon right there. That's a touchdown.
The knee hits the turf at the same time the pylon bends. Well, there's a chance that hand was down. Remember, it was ruled.
His left hand can be down, and he's not down.
No, I'm sorry. That left hand was out of bounds before it hit the pylon.
Before his right hand touched the pylon?
Right. But we're splitting hairs here, and we're having a hard time defining it.
You can see where, you mentioned the divot. His left knee definitely touches, and it looks like it's almost simultaneous. The question will be, is it indisputable? You look up here, and it's easy for us to say it, but the ruling on the field was that he was short. And they've got to see it clearly enough in the replay booth to overturn it and say that it was, in fact, a touchdown. It looks to me, with the luxury of seeing it in slow motion and frame by frame, that Jalen Hurd was in. And that'll be capping yet another excellent night from the true freshman at the running back position. And he's proven to be quite a weapon. He could stay in there for pass protection. He's proven to be an excellent receiver. You think back 2 weeks ago versus South Carolina, breaking tackles on a key 4th down.
After review, the runner hit the pylon with the ball prior to his knee going down. It was a touchdown.
Think Butch Jones likes it?
He's fired up. We came into this thing at the top of the show saying, this was kind of a measuring stick type of a game. Both of these programs in year 2 and their head coaches, Kentucky enjoyed a lot more success in the first half of their season. They won 5 of their first 6. Tennessee, more ambitious in their schedule, they were only able to capture 3 wins. But now with this game and the way it's gone, clearly the Volunteers building on that momentum.
Four-yard touchdown run for Jalen Hurd.
You see his left knee. Looks like there's some room between that knee and the grass, and that ball is contacting the pylon. He's in there. Good job by the replay booth. Getting a good clear look at it. Nice job by the guys running the cameras and getting us a good look at it. You think Coach Jones is still coaching? He's got his assistants over there telling him to calm down. He's got 2 more conference games yet to play. You need to blow any O-rings in this one.
I'm so glad we've got teams that still play on real grass, because we get to look at Jalen Hurd's jersey like that. 3rd 100-yard rush game, first freshman to do it since Jamal Lewis in '97 here at the University of Tennessee.
That's the way it's supposed to look, isn't it? You know, you play a rivalry game, regardless of how Tennessee views it. At the end of the game, if you're a running back that rushed for 100 yards, that's kind of what your jersey's supposed to look like.
From the 4. Boom Williams. Injured man on the field for Tennessee as Williams goes past the 30. Tomorrow at 6 on the SEC Network. Men's college basketball action takes place as Missouri looks for its first win of the season, playing host to Valparaiso. Game is also live on Watch ESPN. Donnie Tyndall's Tennessee Volunteers started with a loss last night in Annapolis to a top 15 VCU program led by Shaka Smart. The Vols to try to regroup, and the injured man Cortez McDowell, Tennessee linebacker, on kick coverage.
Cortez McDowell is a name that we heard the other day in our meeting with the defensive coaching staff. Another guy that they're expecting to really emerge as an every down player for them. I'm an undersized guy right now. They're trying to pack on the pounds. A lot like Emmanuel Mosley, who we've called his name a couple of times, a true freshman. You see Cortez McDowell, only 204 pounds. He's one of those guys that they'd like to slide him up and play linebacker, like his speed and his range. You'll be calling that Valparaiso, Missouri game, aren't you? You got a little scouting report on that for us?
I was more concerned with the travel.
Naturally.
Yeah.
It's important to get there first. Can't call a game from Knoxville, that's for sure.
I can't do it from the airport. Kim Anderson in his first year as a Missouri head coach, like Donnie Tyndall taking over here in Knoxville. A couple of first-year coaches in the SEC. Bruce Pearl, in case you didn't know, is down at Auburn. They won late last night. Another sack of Tolles. Barnett and A.J. Johnson converge on him. Derek Barnett has set a Tennessee freshman record for sacks. 4th of the night for Tennessee on Kentucky. Smokey Dog, one of a handful trying to stay warm tonight. Offense has been red hot for Tennessee since the get-go. 50 points on the board for the Vols.
Bang, 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 bang. I love the way you walk, and I love the way you talk.
Tennessee has hung half 100 on Kentucky tonight as we start the 4th quarter of action from Neyland Stadium. Let's take a look at our SEC East Conference standings, brought to you by Hardee's. Missouri leading the way with a 4-1 record. Their lone loss in conference was a shellacking that Georgia put on them in Columbia. Their other loss was to Indiana, making the Tigers 7-2 overall.
And of course, you know, they got A&M tonight. And they'll have to come face the Tennessee Volunteers here at home next week. A hot Tennessee Volunteer team at that.
Tolles gets away from pressure. On the money on the run, but off the hands of Javis Blue. We're talking about a hot Tennessee team. It's the most points Tennessee has scored in consecutive conference games since 2003, when they put 59 on Mississippi State and 48 on Vandy.
Kyle Meadows down for Kentucky now. Things are getting pretty lean from an offensive line standpoint. You know, Darian Miller has not been in there. Their starting left tackle. Jordan Swindle was out for a time. Kyle Meadows was in for him. Now it's Swindle and Meadows. Looks like Meadows is down. Clearly jerking around in pain as the trainers check out his lower leg. It's an area of need for Kentucky going forward, not only in developing depth, but they've got to get better up front. Guys like Kyle Meadows, who they were high on early on in the season, he's only a freshman. He's getting some good snaps, meaningful snaps here tonight. Not sure how much more we'll see of him here in this game.
3rd and 16. I didn't hear Lil John because of the injury. Tolles chased and dropped. Sack number 5 of the night. Barnett's got another one, joined by Chris Weatherd.
Yeah, no surprise there. Earlier, saw A.J. Johnson and Derek Barnett work together on a sack. This time, Barnett working against, it looks like Nick Haynes, a replacement for Meadows. And right away, able to sack the quarterback. You see Tennessee, especially in the second half of this season, that's something else that's really improved, is their ability to rush the passer with their down 4, and especially from their edge rushers.
Beautiful punt that time. Jacob Carter pushed all the way back to the 24. And he gets wrapped up by the first man downfield. Now Tennessee has brought pressure all night. 5 sacks tonight. The team coming in with 24.
Started early too. You can see able to not only sack the quarterback but get pressure, which climbs into the helmet of a quarterback. When you start feeling it, they'll take a couple of shots early, and that clock starts ticking a little bit faster in their head as far as how long they're willing to stay into stand in the pocket. You got a Kentucky team. It looks like they're not going to be able to get it done here tonight versus Tennessee. Still sitting there with those 5 wins to finish the season versus Louisville. It doesn't get much easier. That's a pretty good defense at Carter.
Good quarterback into the game is Nathan Peterman for Tennessee. He hands it off. Gain of 10 on first down for Justice Pickett. Peterman got the start against Alabama, lasted a couple of series. Also saw action in relief of an injured Justin Worley against Georgia. And with all due respect to Peterman, and Worley for that matter, you have to wonder about some of these close losses that Tennessee succumbed to during this season. Specifically within the league, Georgia and Florida. Even if Dobbs hadn't played the entire game or started, games that were so close, you just assumed Dobbs would be a difference maker. There could be 2 more wins for this Tennessee team in conference alone. I'm not saying they would have gone into Oklahoma and won on the road at Oklahoma or won in Tuscaloosa, but games that were close at the end, Josh Dobbs has proven to be a difference maker.
Yeah, we've learned that, that's for sure. You know, the knock on Dobbs from the coaching staff has always been, as we see Josh Forrest leave the field injured, so that they didn't know what they were going to get from him on game day. It was the inconsistency. Those are the words that we hear constantly as descriptors for Joshua Dobbs in practice. But we've certainly seen when the scoreboard's lit up, Joshua Dobbs is a gamer.
This is Justice Pickett again. But oddly enough, it may have been John Jancic, the Tennessee defensive coordinator, who had an idea of what Dobbs could be and what he could do. In preparation for Nevada early this season, Dobbs was a scout team quarterback as Chucky Keaton. He said, we can't tackle the guy. We don't have anybody in our defense who can bring him down. Majid said the same thing. He's like a wet noodle out there. So if this Tennessee defense couldn't tackle Joshua Dobbs, I know hindsight is 20/20, but maybe the offensive staff eyes may have been opened a little bit and said, I think this guy can help us. And you can bet an offensive line coach like Dan Mahoney would have been begging for a mobile quarterback. Another injured offensive lineman. This is Austin Sanders. Back in a moment. All right, Dari, thank you. 3rd and 1 here for Tennessee. They help Sanders off the field. Peterman hands it off to Pickett. We'll see about the spot. Darrell Scott, the talented freshman running back, is dealing with a hand injury. He was really only available in an emergency situation tonight, so it looks like this will be Justice Pickett's game at the running back spot from here on out. They held him short, and so a punting situation for Matt Darr.
Robinson.
Matt Dar hadn't had as much work as he's used to, at least for the bulk of the season. For a little while, he had more punts than any other punter in the country. Offense doing much better with Joshua Dobbs. Dar's been able to take some time off.
This will be his second of the night.
Timeout, Tennessee.
The women's college basketball season tips off tomorrow night on the SEC Network at 8 p.m. Alabama plays host to 7th-ranked Duke. The game is also live on Watch ESPN. Personnel issues for the special teams for Tennessee. Trying to get lined up to punt this one away on a 4th and 1. This might be a scenario where you've got so many reserves into the game that you put them into the right spot. I mean, Butch is practicing his huddle here on the sideline, it seems.
Well, and he's intimately involved in special teams here at Tennessee.
Now, charge to Tennessee was for the purpose of challenging his spot on the previous play.
All right.
The ruling on the field is that the runner was down short of the line to gain. That plays under further review.
You know, if you're coaching that situation, it's got to be the perfect marriage of a close spot and personnel issues. You're using the timeout anyway. Go ahead and ask him to review it.
Yeah, take another look at it while we're at it. You see Pickett. You know, initially he's definitely stood up. I don't know. To me, it looked like his hind end was down before he gained the yards that would have been needed to pick up the first. Stacked up right there behind Dylan Weissman.
I don't know, the ball looked like it was onto the logo when that elbow went down. I mean, he obviously surged forward with a roll afterwards.
We've already seen one ruling overturned. A touchdown by Jalen Hurd earlier. The logo, the bottom of that, or I guess the far left side of that tee is would be, looks like just shy of the yardage needed. See, based on where the grounds crews got the first down marker placed.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Tennessee will be charged their timeout, and they will also lose their challenge. It is 4th down.
A timeout they were going to use anyway.
And a challenge they're not likely to use in a 50-16 game.
Yeah, I don't know that he lost a whole lot there. But obviously, Coach Jones, you know, part of the message being sent is, hey, you know, we're still in this game. We're still coaching these guys. Nobody's looking to fold up the 10 early.
Fair catch taken at the 10 by DeMarco Robinson. Well, Tennessee got its season kick-started a couple of weeks ago in Columbia, South Carolina, and it was because of Joshua Dobbs. Twice they trailed by 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. He had a 3-yard touchdown run to pull within 7, and then this pass to Jason Crooms tied it with 11 seconds left. Aaron Medley hit the field goal in overtime to go ahead, and then Elliott Fry, after a pair of sacks, missed a 58-yarder for South Carolina. That, coming into today, was the season highlight for Tennessee. And after the performance against Kentucky, those Missouri coaches are going to leave College Station tonight, either with or without a win. And they're going to be watching some of this Tennessee tape and thinking, oh, this isn't the same Tennessee team that we all saw against Florida or against Ole Miss or against Alabama. This is an entire program that feels resurgent right now.
Yeah, you could see that not only has Tennessee taken that South Carolina victory as a validation of some of the near misses that they had earlier on in the year, namely a 3-point loss to a Georgia team, a 1-point loss to a Florida team, but also that this is a different football team from an offensive standpoint, but also we see defense now after a week's worth of rest played much better in this game than they did in the previous two. They're starting to leak some yards and giving up more and more big plays. And that isn't their philosophy. Their whole idea is to make you earn it, keep the offense and the ball in front of them, no balls over their head. The defense here tonight, they give them a couple of long balls, but for the most part did an excellent job versus the Kentucky offense.
And you might go back after tonight's game, check the box score over the last couple of games, really the last three. They've been burned by one guy each of the last 3 games, starting with Amari Cooper. They come back to the near side, pressure on the quarterback once again. It was Amari Cooper, then it was Pharaoh Cooper, then today was Javis Blue for Kentucky. Well, you take one guy away, and Tennessee's secondary has been pretty stout. The defense has been good really all year.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, they've been a good defense overall. Maybe Javis's mother's maiden name is Cooper. Maybe it's like a family thing that they got going now. But as otherwise, we've seen a team all season. Up until recently, it's a defensively led squad. And now that we've seen Joshua Dobbs come in, they've been able to overcome some big plays that were given up by a defense in the 4th quarter versus South Carolina. The defense set them up well this game, all game long.
Another good punt for Foster. Mason Carter takes it past midfield out of the 46-yard line. Tennessee 50, Kentucky 16. 10.5 minutes to go in this one from Neyland Stadium. As the Vols look for their 2nd straight SEC win.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by the new College Football Hall of Fame, where it's game day every day.
Game day here in Knoxville between Kentucky and Tennessee, and mostly Tennessee, a 50-16 win lead. I just ran the last 10.5 minutes off on my own, didn't I?
Numbers may change, but I think the outcome will be the same.
A couple of yards for Kentucky on that one. Pardon me, for Tennessee. Down to the 40.
See Josh Dobbs on the sideline. Another successful outing for him. Probably a vast understatement there. It's obvious. Coach Jones and his staff saying, look, we'll just book this thing down as best we can. With 9 minutes to play, book a victory, knowing that, as we mentioned, Missouri's on the heels of this one. They finish up the season versus Vanderbilt and a chance to double their win total in conference from a year ago to 4.
Incomplete. We just saw on that billboard a sponsorship from the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, and a highlight for Kentucky this year. Steve Meilinger was inducted into the 2014 class of the College Football Hall of Fame. Fantastic end and do everything guy for Bear Bryant back in the 50s. He actually played quarterback a couple of days. Coach Bryant took him for a walk around the practice field one day after they had some injuries at quarterback, and they talked and they walked around the perimeter of the field, and while they had their discussion in the walk, they tossed the football back and forth. Then at the end of their walk, Coach Bryant looked at Meilinger and said, okay, you're good. Meaning, we just walked around the field. If you can toss it to me, then you can hand it off to our running backs and toss it to those guys.
Fantastic. Bear Bryant as a surrogate for the running backs. What a great evaluation method.
It's a great look here in Knoxville. That shirt flies anywhere else, 50-16. Tennessee fans, come out and cheer on your Volunteers over Thanksgiving weekend as they compete against the likes of Kansas, Marquette, and Michigan State in the Orlando Classic. For tickets and travel packages, log on to espnevents.com/Orlando-Classic. First down for the Cats and Patrick Tolles. Nothing doing on the run game. By the way, Steve Meilinger would end up playing quarterback that next game against Miami on Halloween Eve down in Miami. He was wearing number 80, his usual number for the Hall of Famer. Had a pretty good game, if I remember the stats right. He caught a long pass. He ran for one. Kentucky ended up winning that game. They came back home to play host to Tulane in the next home game. The Kentucky marching band pulled off one of the greatest pranks in college football. They came out at halftime to start their program when the PA announcer called out for the missing band member. Outran a trombonist wearing a number 80 jersey and a full Kentucky uniform. Meilinger's parents were at the game that night. His mom turned to his dad, said, "Is there nothing they don't have him do?"
She doubted his skills. She didn't think her boy could play the trombone with a football uniform on.
At halftime.
Although you can see that, you know, it would be difficult to manipulate the slide wearing shoulder pads, don't you think?
It'd be hard to get full extension.
Yeah. Don't diminish the skill set that's required to do that. The idea that the kid can play quarterback and then also play one of the brass instruments. That's a bit of a stretch, don't you think? Even for a Hall of Famer.
Even so, 3rd and 12.
Sousa thing.
I believe Meilinger ended up playing for Bear Bryant in college, and at the professional level, both Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry.
That's the Mount Rushmore of coaches. It doesn't get any better than that. I'm trying to think who else you'd want to include. Did he play baseball for Tony La Russa ever?
You can't just throw Tony La Russa in there with Vince Lombardi, can you?
It's a totally different sport.
Totally different. Tennessee defense has been able to just pin its ears back on Kentucky over the last couple of possessions. Forcing a punt now. Punts have gotten steadily better from Landon Foster. That was a 52-yarder. Let's take a look at our player of the game, brought to you by Principal Financial Group.
Well, we said coming into the game, Derek Barnett, they were really excited about what they were getting out of him at defensive end. But started early in this game. He was able to collapse the edge of the Kentucky offensive front and spent much of the night in their backfield and largely ending up on top of their quarterback. It's the last thing you ever want as an offensive lineman, is having some DN collecting helmet stickers on your watch. And Derek Barnett, he enjoyed a pretty good night tonight. 2 sacks, building on a 2-sack performance last game out versus South Carolina.
Tennessee's ground game has been nearly unstoppable tonight, and so DeAnthony Summerhill gets an opportunity to take over at the running back position. Opportunity for some of these Tennessee reserves. So many close games they played this season. And now Butch Jones is able to empty the bench a little bit more so than before.
And we'll keep in mind too that coming into this game, Tennessee was 4-5. So they're still 1 game away from that elusive bowl eligibility, as is Kentucky, with only 1 more crack at it. The game versus Louisville remaining on their schedule. There's 2 more conference games for Tennessee. And they got an injury to Matt Crowder here tonight. And that could prove to be a significant one, depending on how competitive those games are versus a Missouri team that's found ways to win throughout this season, with only 1 conference loss to Georgia. And then, of course, the finale versus Vanderbilt. But they've certainly come a long way. That South Carolina win was a gateway to this opportunity for them in the second half of the season to make it to that postseason. And those all too precious practice opportunities that you get with a bowl game.
Summerhill has the first down.
Summerhill carry.
Those reps that you get for a bowl practice, you get 15 extra days of practice for the programs that go on to the postseason versus those who don't. They've got to be valuable to everybody. I mean, if you're beat up and you're an upperclassman or you're even a senior, you might be, you know, coach is making us put the pads on, really, for a bowl game. But if you're an underclassman or you're looking for playing time or you're a young quarterback, Josh Dobbs will benefit so much because he's still young as a quarterback, even going back to his high school days.
It's almost like another spring practice. You know, look at these coaches. And you get to do it proximate to a body of work. Spring practice is kind of an island on the calendar. But you get to build on it. You don't have to worry about installing new things. You don't have to worry about reintroducing stuff that you worked on in the season. You know, they'll give it time for guys to finish up their studies, wrap up their academic term, but then you can kind of build on what you've been doing all season long. And it's a fantastic evaluation tool as well, just to see how good some of the players are that didn't get a ton of playing time during the regular season. This is opportunities that neither one of these programs have had the luxury of taking advantage of the past 3 seasons.
And you saw that list earlier of the programs that haven't been to a bowl of the last 3 seasons. It's tough to dig yourself out of that hole. We talked about it before. You know, you've got the Colorados of the world, Kansas, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Even if you're just to take Kentucky and Tennessee for the sake of this discussion and say, we're improved, we're a better team. Well, guess what? Everybody else in the SEC is getting better also. So you have to improve at a rate much higher than that of your competition because you're already playing catch-up.
That's right. You know, and that asset, those resources that a bowl game affords you, that's one of the few that you can actually earn. It's available to everybody. Now, everybody's going to be on the same footing financially or from a facility standpoint. But if you're looking at competing on even par with everyone else within your conference and they're going to bowl games and you aren't, that might be the biggest disadvantage, are those 15 practices that you're forfeiting because you can't make it to the postseason. And from a player development standpoint, you know, it can be pivotal, especially for young guys. Both of these programs, Kentucky and Tennessee, playing a ton of young new faces, guys that could use that time, especially at the collegiate level. You can't duplicate that, no matter how well you played in high school. Jalen Hurd, as well as he's playing in the back end of this season, he'll be that much better for it if Tennessee can finally become bowl eligible.
Same for Barnett, who's lived in the Kentucky backfield tonight, just a freshman. DeMarco Robinson stands on his 15. That dart booms it over his head and it carries into the checkerboard end zone. About a minute left here in Knoxville tonight. 50-16 balls. "64 seconds remain here in Knoxville." Why not stick around and enjoy this one tonight?
I had a chance to do a whole lot of this, especially in conference games. Fans basking in the warmth of a 50-point display from their team, at least from the volunteer perspective.
Reese Phillips, a quarterback for Kentucky. And Michael Horton bounces it to the outside. Taken down by a wrist. A first down run for Horton. And a freshman Horton is banged up.
Gets a carry and then gets injured. Time rolls off the clock. That's injury to insult in a game like this.
JoJo Kemp will enter at running back. A&M trying to go that same way. We're going to get you to College Station from Missouri and A&M just as soon as we wrap up here in Knoxville, where Tennessee will run its record of 5-5 and find its second consecutive SEC win. Kentucky will have another chance at bowl eligibility. And Louisville next week.
Certainly Tennessee's got to be pleased with the way things went tonight. Not only they see yet another good performance, their stand-in quarterback, now stand-out quarterback, and Joshua Dobbs. But a defense that was able to generate turnovers, one directly returned for a touchdown. Bush Jones, further validation that they've got this program on the right track and headed in the right direction.
Our final score, Tennessee 50, Kentucky 16. Coming up next, Missouri takes on Texas A&M. We'll get to the Kyle Field just seconds from now. For Matt Stinchcomb, Heather Mitts, and our entire SEC Network crew, I'm Tom Hart. The Volunteers now 5-5. Kentucky 5-6. Off we go to College Station for Missouri and A&M.